Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Infinity Broadcasting and the V8 Veterans here for the Racekraft Simulations V8 Vets Split 2 action for Season 24. Round 7 here this evening out at Circuito De Jerez for what is bound to be a wet and wild affair. As we run into the 7th round of the season, history could be on the precipice, as we've gone 6 rounds thus far with 6 different winners at the start of this season. Hamish Munro here with you, Scott Gamble alongside me here this evening. Scotty, it's been a little while since it's been just you and me in the booth. I'm excited because this season has been one of the closest we've ever seen in Split 2 machinery, and I'm really excited to see what the rain can bring. Last season it produced some magic out of Interlagos, and now tonight we head over to Jerez, where it could produce something even more, whether it's history breaking for a 7th different race winner this season, or our first 2-time race winner on offer for us here in Season 24.
How you going, Hamish? And yeah, thanks for having us on board, and welcome to the YouTube chat tonight. Great to be back in the booth with you, my friend, but it's interesting, you were talking about the championship. We were having a quick look over the points tally leading into this race, and it's phenomenally close. Like, I was surprised how close it was. And you mentioned, is there going to be a 2-time winner? We're at round 7. Can you believe it? Round 7, and you still haven't got a 2-time winner for this season. So that's a phenomenal effort, and that's a real credit to the drivers that are, you know, they're all on pace, aren't they? They really looks like there's quite a few in contention.
Yeah, on pace. It's been close as well. Really, though, there are three clear-cut front runners at this stage for our contenders, but one of them is without a crucial race win thus far this season. To give you the rundown on the different race winners we've seen, round 1 at Spa we had Trent Allen. Round 2 out at Road Atlanta we saw Brad Doble win his first race of the season. Round 3 Halil Cesar won out at Long Beach. Bruce Tannock won in round 4 at Portland. Round 5 at Road America we saw Brenton O'Brien get the victory for ERT. And last week at round 6 at the Hockenheim Ring we saw Chad Viger take victory. I did mention the stat a few weeks ago that every season in Gen 3 cars, the champion has come after winning round 3 of the season. Back in season 22, Logan Barnett won round 3. He went on to win the championship. Season 23, Matt Muggleton won round 3, went on to win the championship. This season at the moment, Halil Cesar won round 3 at Long Beach, is leading the championship by 1 point to Brad Doble, 707 points to 706. Crucially, the difference between them is Halil has one more top 5 and one more top 10 finish, so that one more top 5 really counts as he's one more top 10 over Brad. He's also got a multitude of bonus points, 10 bonus points to his name. Brad's only got 6. Robert Crisdale, though, is the third name. He's the third name amongst this. He's got one less top 5 than Brad does and two less top 5s than Halil. And he sits on 683 points. 8 bonus points to his name, but 14 penalty points, crucially, to his name as well, Scotty. If he didn't have those 14 penalty points, he'd be on 697 points. He'd only be 10 points away from the championship lead. He's yet to take a race win this season. Could Rob do it here tonight? He wasn't entirely confident coming into the wet round this season. Could he be on for something special tonight, or do we think we may have to wait a week until the bend to where we finally see him on the top step?
Yeah, well, Robert's got a lot of experience. You know, he's been around for a long time, a former Split 1 driver, and has had some success in Split 1 at times. You know, things have fallen his way there, and other times, you know, as racing goes, it doesn't. But yeah, he sees himself back into Split 2, and I think it's a bit of a refresh for him. You mentioned he's currently P3 in the championship, which is, you know, really good, especially given the quality of drivers now that we have across those Split 1 and Split 2. So Robert's driving really good. Halal Caesar, he had that change of team. He's over at your team at Infinity Motorsport. Hasn't he come alive? That's just been the refresh that driver has needed. And, you know, it's really good to see him up there because, yeah, I've always had a belief that he could do it. He's a driver that can drive extremely well. He's got a lot of experience. He's been around for a while now, and this is his championship to lose. If he drives smart tonight in this rain, gets around Jerez, puts another solid points haul behind him, Hamish, that puts him in great stead. And with 2 drop rounds available and a lot of points behind and some good points as drop rounds, geez, he's going to be hard to beat.
He will indeed. You got to remember back as we get the Google Maps track splash up for you now to have a quick look at this circuit. Got to think back to Interlagos last season. There were 2 drivers who finished on the podium with 0 X's next to their name. One of them was the race winner Sean Vandermill in a 9.5 Simsports. The other was Halil Cesar, who finished P2 in the rain on a 0X last time we were in wet conditions. He's going to be a driver to watch tonight. He's got some really good pace about him. Only time will tell. I mean, he is driving the season of his life, is Halil. But let's have a quick look at this circuit here. Of course, this layout's been used ever since 1994. We're using the Moto layout here tonight. It cuts out the turn 11 chicane at Alex Creville, if I can get it correctly. We all start on the main straight, though, up towards Expo 92 at turn 1. This is the first real, not necessarily a danger zone tonight, Scotty, or at least previously hasn't been in the dry conditions, but in the wet, we could start to see some issues forming, especially early in the race. The track tightens as you come around the first corner. You could see cars getting intertwined and overlocked, but I think more so, the corner that's going to be more difficult for them early in the lap is actually coming up at 2 at Michelin, where it's a much more tight hairpin style of corner. You're trying to turn back across the road again. These first few corners are going to be a test for these drivers tonight. Could be an early sign, though, of things to come if we get a bit of carnage here on lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to watch there is that water, how it goes across the track. You mentioned turn two, it does it there. You get too close on the inside and it's going to compromise your run through 3 and 4, which is all about balancing the throttle, staying off the painted surfaces. That's where the drivers don't want to be tonight. They don't want to be on the ripple strips. They want to be balancing this car with their right foot, driving the car with the pedals, one would say. And as you head through 4, you really start to open it up. You're into 4th gear and it's very easy to oversteer the car in the rear with your throttle application. So balancing out of there is crucial, and that gives you a nice run up to turn 5, which is Pseudo Ponds. And this turn, again, we get a little bit of water coming across the track, especially on the inside there, and it's about balancing the car through there. 4th gear for me, Hamish. That's how I took Pseudo Ponds, and to set myself up for that big run all the way down to dry sack. Now, vision is going to be a thing tonight. They're going to be whited out with water spray coming in their faces, how they approach that, searching for clean air, clean track where they got some visibility, coming down into turn 6, dry sack. It's a John Van Ray favourite this corner, turn 6, trying to get on the brakes there as they are. And looking for that vision. I think we could see a few incidents there tonight, Hamish.
I think we very well could. We saw a multitude of incidents there across the piece during the dry races in the past, and I think wet conditions are only going to make it that much worse. So it is a good passing opportunity, but it is a dangerous one, especially when there's some perspiration in the air. You make it through 6, though. You're trying to get a run up through turn 7 and then through 8 at a Spa. Then as you come up towards 9 at Angel Nieto, you're trying just to keep the car balanced, just to then try and perfect the run through Pelequi at turn 10 as well. Your next real overtake opportunity, though, is not through any of these corners. You're just trying to maximise, keep the car steady, keep it balanced through Alex Creville and Ferrari at 12, because 13 at Lorenzo is probably your next best overtaking opportunity the whole track. But again, you've got to have yourself prepped. You've got to line it up. You've also, though, got to be careful of running the racing line through those corners, running it out wide onto the painted surface on the left-hand side, because we can see cars getting loose on exit, and that then could ruin your run up towards 13. The big factor, I think, tonight as well, though, Scotty, drivers are going to have to be careful of, is the pit entry here. It is one of the most contentious pit entries we've ever seen on an iRacing circuit. You touch the AstroTurf, you even look at the AstroTurf wrong on the pit entry, and you're getting a 40-second stop hold. It's caught drivers out in the past in the dry conditions. In the wet, it's going to be crucial that you keep yourself nice and steady into pit lane. 40 seconds is a long time to be stationary, and it's a time that you don't want to have tonight, especially when we're only going racing for 200 kilometres here of Jerez. But 4.4 Ks, 2.7 miles in the old language, 13 turns. We're running the clockwise layout. As we mentioned, it is, of course, the moto layout too. It cuts out the turn 11 chicane down there at Alex Creville. Warm-up sessions currently underway. Drivers are out there at the moment just trying to disperse some of that water out there, Scotty, just to get into their rhythm. What do you think the biggest thing's going to be off this race start for these drivers? How are they going to best be able to approach this race here tonight, and how can they maybe just best approach their strategy tonight as well? One big factor for this split, I should mention, when we hopped into there was an issue with the server that A, there is unlimited fast repairs in split 2 tonight, and B, there is unlimited fuel tank capacity as well. So that actually changes our critical lap from lap 20 back to roughly lap 9 or 10. And if drivers haven't noticed that, Scotty, when they've actually hopped into the server, it could give some other drivers a massive advantage, especially if there's an early safety car and they realise that they can take more fuel than what previously they could have.
Absolutely. I believe those settings was across all the splits. Ooh. And it does open it up. Those who looked into the race information picked it up straight away. So, yeah, unlimited fast repair, open fuel tank. I don't mind the open fuel tank, Hamish. I think it does open up that cycle of strategy a lot more. As you mentioned, around lap 10 is that number that you can get home. But for me, how you approach this race at the start, cold tyres is a big, big factor. We need to talk about that leading into the race, because how drivers go about it, whether they do a pit stop and keep their tyres on throughout the race, how they manage their tyres will be crucial to where they finish up and maintain that race pace. So I'm looking forward to seeing how what they do, what the mindset, what team's mindset and strategy is tonight, because that could really surprise a few drivers by perhaps not changing their tyres in their first pit stop, keeping those warm yet worn tyres on, and maintaining that pace, because there is a big drop-off. You put cold tyres on, you've got 2-3 laps to really warm them up. By lap 4 and 5 on them, that's when you can start to boogie again and start to get it down. But you lose so much time in that lead up to getting these tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, I suppose the biggest difference between this race and last season's wet race at Interlagos is it's not changeable conditions tonight as the warm-up comes to an end. It's wet throughout the whole race, so you know you're always going to have to change over to wet tyres. There are rumours and apparently plans that we're still going to get a changeable weather race this season. My prediction is it's going to be Okayama, and it's going to be the opposite of Interlagos, where we start wet, we go dry at the end, and you've got to try and balance that out. But regardless, starting grid for tonight's race will be as follows. Championship leader Halil Cesar will start pole position alongside Reece Degoe on the front row of the grid. Damon Fisher, Wade Reynolds will then start on the second, with Brad Doble and Lorne Mackay for our top 6. Brad not having to go as far to chase down his championship rival. He's only got one car between his starting position and Halil's starting position, a few rows up from him. Simon Hedesheed, Robert Crisdale then start inside the top 8 with Matt Stores and Steve Lanyon for our top 10, as Mark Houghton and Dave Arney will then make up our top 12. Shane Randall, Darren Crosby then make up the top 14, with Tim Mulford starting alongside Brenton O'Brien in P16 tonight. That's good qualifying from Brenton, good to see. Brett Taylor, Rick Feiger starting alongside each other with Mick Clifton and Andrew Hoffman for our top 20. Matt Monday, Bruce Tannock then start out of the top 22 with Adrian Zeal, Chris Blanchard for our top 24 cars, as we look back to Paul Burns, Sean Cullen, Todd Duggan, Derek Lovegrove, Jeremy Bush making up our top 29. Michael Jones not setting a lap time here this evening in qualifying, so it'll be 30 cars on the starting grid, with our race controllers being Dave Coleman, Jamie Dyke, and our safety car driver Thomas Freeman here this evening in split 2. But the championship leader, who's yet to join the grid, he's put it on pole, and he's probably put it in the best spot possible here tonight, Scotty, to try and take home that second race win this season.
He not only put it on pole, he put it on pole by 7/10, Hamish. That is absolutely incredible, and it's a clear showing to what Halal's done and the work that he's done, perhaps the teamwork as well, to get him up to have that confidence. 7/10. I haven't seen a gap like that from first to second for, well, since Gen 2, really. But so that's a phenomenal effort by Halal. Well done. Some really good drives there. Reece Degoe, really good to see him back up there in the SLS car. Damon Fisher, it's good to see him in the chat tonight. Thank you very much. And your normal co-commentator there, Hamish, the brother, is in Team AGR, got it up on P3, so it's good to see that NZ car up there as well.
He has indeed. I'd be worried if Brett raced. He said he was going on holiday prior to the race actually happening, so I'd be worried if that happened though. Pole sitter though, championship leader Halil Cesar, doesn't have the orange number on the window, but it is on the timing tower, and he is leading the way in the championship this season. Could this be the champion come season's end, come the end of Okayama in only a couple of weeks' time? Could the Cooler Master car be the championship winning car? Could it be this team's first Split 2 championship here in the Vets? It's been a long time that they've been attempting it in Split 2, but they're yet to take home the chocolates. Could Cesar be the one, or is Doble going to be able to challenge throughout tonight's race and throughout the rest of the season as well? Only time will tell. Lights are going up though for these drivers here this evening. Cesar and Degoe on the front row, Fisher and Reynolds behind. Could there be early carnage at Jerez? We are underway as Cesar gets it off the line well. Degoe's gone with him. Bit of a wheel spin, but coming off the start-finish line. And as we come up the run towards the top of the hill, there's been contact in behind with Darren Crosby and a couple of other drivers. And the scramble has already begun here, Scotty. Drivers have got to be careful just to keep themselves under control, because this is the point of the race where I think at least there's going to be the most amount of water on track.
That is big damage to Crosby there. He's lost his headlights, he's lost his front bumper. But so he's got a lot of work to do. He's probably lucky it's on lap 1, because he's not going to lose too much ground. But in the meantime, Halal sees it. He's already jumped ahead. He's got this car wrapped up and going. Reece Degoe is P3. Damon Fisher, P3. Reece Degoe, P2, though. Top 3 did not drop positions off the start line. But Lorne Mackay He's up into P4. He gained 2 positions. He's having a little look here up the inside of Damon Fisher, all sorts of sideways. He's got it pulled up, Hamish. That is absolutely incredible car control by Lord McKee. That was very well done, and I'm sure that was a heart-in-the-mouth moment for him.
Oh, I'm sure it certainly was. We mentioned it was probably one of the, well, at least for lap 1, it's the first best overtaking opportunity the whole lap down at turn 6. As the race goes on, turn 1 will become an overtaking opportunity as well. But Lord McKay taking full advantage of the run down the straight. And we saw the spray coming off the back of the cars on the entry into that corner. And it's just low visibility 101. You cannot see a thing when you are stuck behind the whole train of cars behind you. And the best thing that's probably come of this great start for Halil Cesar is for Reese Tagoe. He has no spray right in front of him, so he can see where he's actually going here, Scotty. Everyone else behind them, they can't see diddly.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like he's checked out. It's going to be interesting for these drivers who are now behind Reese Tagoe. So I'm interested in the drivers from P2 to P10, all the way up to Robert Crisdale, to how they are actually going to approach this race. Will we see some early pit stops come around the next cycle? And I'm talking the next lap. Will we see him get out of this race? We see a nice overtake attempt up the inside there by Spoils, and I think he's going to get this done, Hamish. He's on the outside. He's kept it. Yeah, beautifully done, those 2 drivers. And we've got the juice car. He's having a little look up the inside. He is looking racy. Is Robert Crisdale. He wants to make his gains, sitting P3 currently in the championship.
Oh my God,
can he see?
spray.
Well, you cannot see anything.
Oh my God. Oh, I feel like a blind man in an optometrist's office. He cannot see a thing. Coming in behind Wade Reynolds there, notably for Wade, dropped 2 spots in the span of 2 corners. He was really struggling for early grip on board that JWM machine. And the brewed coffee may be keeping him awake, but it's not keeping him gripped up on the road at the moment. Got some work to do to keep this car inside of the top 10. He's already down 5 spots here in this race at this period, Scotty. So good qualifying pace for Wade, but just unable to get it gripped up early here.
Very unfortunate, but he's got plenty of time, and he's played it smart though, Hamish, and that's the key. He hasn't got damage on his car. Yes, he's lost a couple of positions, but he's still in the top 10. He's still in the hunt here, and he's right behind Stalls at the moment. That was an incredible move actually by Stalls, because he really used the track to his advantage when he made that pass and where the water is flowing across the track. And I know a lot of drivers will be able to relate with this. There is certain corners, turn 9 rings a big bell, where the water actually flows across the track, and how you take that is really can set up your whole lap. If you get that wrong, you're going to drop tenths. Here we go, first pit stopper.
Yeah, Blanchard is in, so maybe an alternate strategy for WKMP Simsports here tonight. Crosby's gone with him. So you want to try and get that car fixed up as best he can. Todd Duggan running here with Tim Mulford at the moment up towards turn 1. Tell you what, Todd had a really great performance a few rounds ago out at Portland, and we want to see more of those performances from Toddy. It was really good to see him do so well, and I know he was appreciative of the kind words that we gave him too. I feel like when Todd Duggan is on it, Scotty, and when he's at his best, he's phenomenal viewing. He is such a good driver to watch when he's at his best. He's just really struggled these last few seasons. So hopefully, maybe now this season, just a bit of a reset, finish out the races, stay into it, focus up for next season and see what you can get out of the car, because that there was a really shining performance out at Portland, and we want to see more of it from Todd.
Yeah, you're right. I know when I was with you in the booth, Todd would have some really good races at time and was quite strong. So, and he wouldn't give an inch when he was racing at his best. And I mean, it's unfortunate for Nova. They've had quite a few changes within that team over the last 2 seasons. So, they're working hard, and yeah, I would like to see Todd back to his best, because you're right, the series, the league split 2 is much better when he's driving, at his best, enjoying his racing, and he's got his hands full here at the moment with Mulford, which I'm actually surprised dropped 6 positions. He's currently P21 behind him.
Oh, Duggan's looking a bit loose here as we run up towards turn 11. Just trying to hang on to this position here with Mulford in behind him. Up the inside, contact's made. The 511, big drift. Trying to keep it under control. Doesn't hold the brakes, and it's a massive incident with Paul Burns coming through. Nowhere to go for Paul in that scenario. And it's unfortunate there for Todd. Drivers are coming into pit lane though. Doble, Crisdale, O'Brien, Mulford, they're all in. But Todd Duggan and Paul Burns, those cars are absolutely destroyed right now down there just before turn 12.
A lot of damage on that 801 car. Very unfortunate. Like you said, there's nothing he could do. Duggan didn't quite hold the brakes quick enough there. And it looks like his day might be over. We can see the front wheels turning. It could be a safety car here, Hamish.
Yeah, there is. Safety car has been called by race control. So we need to watch the race leader now to come into pit lane. Safety car's not on track just yet. They managed to pass the pit exit before the safety car was called, so they have got this extra lap in hand to come in and maybe just burn off a little bit excess fuel. As I said, they do have the benefit now of a full tank available to them. The subregs was supposed to be 70%, which was 93 litres. They actually have the full 133 to play with tonight. That will change up how the stops are made. It means that these drivers now who've gone on to lap 4 could effectively fit roughly 80 litres in the tank at this stage, which is a massive chunk taken out of, I think it was the 111 litres they needed to get to the end. So if they were to take 80 litres now and fill the car up, yes, the car will be a bit heavier, but it will be a bit more stable in these wet conditions, and you're taking a much longer pit stop under a yellow flag scenario compared to a green flag scenario later in the race as the leader's in.
This is a big advantage for Halal here. He's got a 5-second lead, so he is in P1, so he's got the furthest end box. So he can just look in his mirror, keep filling that car until he sees someone drop and then drop. He wants to maintain track positions. Because of the outright pace he's got, he wants to be able to try and make that 5-second gap again. So if I was allowed, I'd keep filling until I seen another one drop or your car's full.
Yep, we'll see what it looks like for him as he sits in pit lane. And when does he go? Now that he's in the box seat to take fuel on board the 5 car. There you see DeGoey right behind him as well as Fisher. So we got the perfect bird's eye view down here to see who goes first and who drops first coming out of pit lane. Safety car is out there to pick up these drivers. Crisdale's coming past them as well. He short-filled that car on that last stop on lap 3. 11 seconds. They drop now. So Cesar is dropped above everyone in the pit lane. Will remain ahead of them. The only 2 drivers he's lost position to is Brad Doble and Rob Crisdale. But the crucial thing here is, Scotty, they've both underfilled compared to Halil. For his pit stop time, Cesar took 32 seconds. Doble took 22.5 seconds. Crisdale took 11.5 seconds. So Crisdale, he needs to put up a 20-second gap if he hopes to remain ahead of the championship leader and effective race leader, Halil Cesar, after the second pit stop.
That's a long ask, but in saying that, he's going to get a bonus point here, Hamish, for leading a lap, which is absolutely, might be crucial given for him for his championship aspirations, or top 3 championship aspirations. But that was really good drop by Halal, because I don't know whether the viewers noticed, but you could see, I think it was DeGoey dropped first, and Halal seen him, and he went straight off the jacks, straight as soon as he seen him drop, and got out in front. So that was really good, really well done.
Well, we'll see now how this plays out. I think the main issue now is for Crisdale and Doble, Crisdale more so, they don't want another safety car now. They want it to stay green, because they need to build gap. Otherwise, if there's a safety car, and realistically, Scott, if there's a safety car in the next 3 laps, if we get to lap 8, you're only a lap away from critical, you could pit and make it home. They're going to get buried in the field if they get a safety car within the next 3 to 10 laps. They need this green period just so they can build enough gap that they don't get buried too deep in the field. They also want a long green period because if they do get buried, at least there'll be some clean air around them because the field will be spread out. So The worst thing that can happen for Rob Crisdale or Brad Doble right now is another safety car immediately after this one comes in, because it could kill their whole race.
Absolutely could. I mean, they've got to be able to use their pace now to get away from Caesar, Tagaui and Fisher, McKee as well. And good to see Lanyon. Geez, Lanyon's come out of nowhere as well. So he's effectively what I would consider in the top 5 at the moment, given that Crisdale and Doble have taken such a short fill. But you never know on these alternate strategies. We'll see what happens. I don't know whether Crisdale and Doble have the pace. The other thing I was going to touch on, Hamish, and this is something that I think could be crucial to the restart here, is which of these drivers took green tyres. So they're going to have green tyres under them, or they're going to have slightly used, and we're talking 5-lap old tyres, that have got a little bit of heat into them, that come up to heat a little bit quicker as well. So that could play into it a little bit at the restart.
Wouldn't have been a bad time to not take tyres, because we are so early in the race. So because they are only 5 laps old, if you didn't take tyres, you will still have the benefit then of that warm rubber. So if this safety car was maybe called in another 4 laps time, I would say, yeah, probably not. Maybe just take a set if you're taking enough fuel. Crisdale wouldn't have taken enough fuel to take tyres, so he's taken just fuel. He's on that initial set that he started the race on, because he would have only taken roughly 25 to 27 litres of fuel, which is not enough to cover the tyres, because it's only taken 11 seconds. Oh, no, yeah. No, that's right. You know, it would have been actually, but
18 litres would cover tyres.
That's
sure.
right. Yeah. Well, I wonder if he did then, because if you come in and you've only splashed that much, would you take tyres? Maybe.
I wouldn't if I was Crisdale.
Yeah.
To do that short fill, I absolutely wouldn't have. I would have kept the worn rubber on, because that's going to give me the advantage at the start.
Yeah.
And then what I would say, what Crisdale and Doble are thinking of doing here, is they're going to run a short stint now. They'll come in, they'll get fresh tyres, and they'll fill to the end. So their next stop, they'll be good to go to the end. And like you said, they'll need a green running. Something I did notice in a little bit of testing, and that is the heavier fuel doesn't necessarily slow these cars down in the wet. If anything, gives you a little bit more rear traction at times. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and whether they have that extra pace to make this short field stop work.
Well, longest pit stop under this initial stop period here for regular fuel was Mark Houghton, 40.31 seconds. That roughly equates to around about 85 to 90 litres. So a massive fill there for Mark. Probably just filled the car. He'll now have a much shorter stop coming his way on the next pit stop cycle. Could see him gain some positions if he can hang out around Tannick and Randall and Hoffman, and maybe even gain up a couple of spots throughout this next period of this race.
Yeah, potentially. So, yeah, definitely sounds like he's filled that car all the way up. So, very interesting. Some strategies at play. We're really not going to know until we get that second cycle of pit stops going, Hamish, and that alternative strategy. So, there will be some earlier second cycles, presuming we go green now for the next 20-odd laps at least. There'll be some earlier cycles with Crisdale, Doble, and a couple others that have gone for a little bit of track position. Brent O'Brien, he's done a little bit of track position. He's up 7, Hamish, into P9, so that gets him in the top 10 with that. Clifton as well, and Hoffman, it looks like they've had a little bit of a short fill to gain those 8 positions.
Well, it appears
anyway,
we are green flag once again. It appears we've gotten the rain that was projected to be at Queensland Raceway today here at Jerez. Have had confirmation that Reece Tagaui and Damon Fisher have not taken tyres on that last stop. The big challenge now for Crisdale and Doble is they need to build gap. Crisdale needs a 10-second gap to Doble, 20 seconds to Cesar. Doble needs 10 seconds to Cesar if they hope to remain ahead of him come the second pit stop cycle later on in this race. But it's game on for them. If Cesar can hang with them, and if he can build gap back to Tagaui, I don't know if there's anyone that can stop him tonight if that happens.
Yeah, it would seem that he has absolute outright pace on the field. I mean, but in saying that, it's such a long race. We're talking 200 kilometres, which normally wouldn't be too far at Jerez. I call it Jerez, but and people probably triggers a few people that I do that, but that's how I like to pronounce it. 200 kilometres here normally isn't too bad, but in the wet, times are down a lot more. It's definitely takes a toll, and the concentration that you have to do for the whole 46 laps here, Hamish, is phenomenal. So can he maintain that? If he can, absolutely, he will romp this in, as we see a car off track there with that love road.
That was Andrew Hoffman off the road then.
It was okay.
Just up at turn 5. So just running a little bit wide up there at the long right-hander. Brenton O'Brien at the moment up 7 positions, having a good race thus far. Not running his short field strategy tonight. Scotty's actually gone for the split stop strategy in that first stop, interestingly enough. He has made up 7 positions thus far. Bruce Tannock's up 10 into P12. He's taken a longer stop as well, 34 seconds. One of the longest stops on that first pit stop period. So see how that plays out for Bruce. We know he's got good pace. He has won a race this season, but he's got some work to do if he hopes to get up anywhere near the podium here this evening. We mentioned Steve Lanyon earlier, has taken some great performances this season, including a double team podium last week at Hockenheimring with Reece Degoe alongside him in P2 and P3. And for him, well, for Lanyon, he'll be hoping to match that, probably with another top 5 here tonight as well. Front runners though, well, they're running nice and tidy. Rob Crisdale, he's got no one in front of him. He's got about 1.1 seconds back to Brad Doble. He's got to times that by 10 though if he hopes to remain ahead of him in the next pit stop cycle. For Doble, he's got about 1.4 seconds back to Halil Cesar in P3. So still a bit of wiggle room there for Cesar, and still plenty of time in hand to remain the provisional race leader here at Jerez this evening. Degoe and Fisher, they're back by about a second apiece as well. And then we get to Lorne Mackay, who's got Lanyon and Stoyles starting to chase him down in the battle for P6 at this stage. O'Brien and Arnie, they make up our top 10. Closest battle on track though is this absolute scramble back here, Scotty, between the likes of Blanchard, Mulford, Burns, Heddersheed, Reynolds, Lovegrove, Crosby, Hoffman are all involved. Actually, no, Hoffman's a bit further back, I apologise. But yeah, this massive train is starting to form, and it's all a battle for P20 on the road, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a beautiful pass there by Mulford. He got it done on Blanchard. He's obviously got his car fixed up, as we see. Adrian Zill, he's going backwards on the climbing tower. I think he's had a little misdemeanor there. Car doesn't look too bad. He's back underway now, so that would have been at turn 8, I think that was there, Hamish. So not sure what went on. I just missed that a little bit. As we see again, is that Mulford again sending it up the inside there on Paul Burns. So he's on the move. He is a driver that is trying to get back those positions that he lost early on in this race, and doing a very good job at this stage.
He's down 4. He's been through pit lane twice to this point. His last stop was 7.3 seconds. He's not going to make it home from that point of a pit stop. In fact, he's just hit critical lap of lap 9 out of 46 here. It was roughly lap 9 or 10, depending on safety cars and fuel usage. But you could reasonably argue that Mulford would be good enough to save fuel to go from lap 9 to the end of this race if he were to pit right now. But I don't think he's going to. I think he'd be happy to stay out there battling away. He's chasing down Sean Cullen, who this season, Scotty, has had some really top level performances for himself. Sean has been very impressive this season, and the improvements that he has been making now, I don't know if it's because his teammate Brad Doble's in this split and he's been able to help him and Brett get better this season, but for my money, Sean is probably the most improved driver of season 24 for split 2 standards. He's been racing really, really well, really, really impressive. Massive shout out to Sean Cullen.
Yeah, driving really well, and a striking livery that these guys there have got the Racecraft, or RK, that stands for Racecraft on them. They've got a bit of a livery redesign, especially for this season. And across all splits, different colours, they do stand out. So I actually quite like what they've done with that. And as he's really trying to put the pressure on of Rick Vigo in the Angry Bird racing car just ahead. And talking at drivers who have had some good results. Rick has had some good results as well. I had a little look through the stats earlier on, Hamish. Maybe a little inconsistent, missed a couple of rounds or so here and there, but He has had some really good results as well to his name. So, you know, and we talk about these drivers, and they're back in 17th and 18th at the moment, who have had top 10, top 5 results in this championship so far.
Ironically, Rick's brother Chad won last week at the Hockenheim ring whilst Rick was away in the snow. This week, Chad goes on holiday and Rick's back and he's racing once again. So it's a very rare occurrence that we actually get both the Viger brothers on track together in Split 2 this season, it seems. But we will hopefully have them back together again for the final round out at Okayama. But just some great battles happening right now throughout this field. That battle pack of P20 back, it's still a massive train, which we love to see when this sort of battle starts to form. There are battles happening further up the field as well, though. Doble is just starting to lose a bit of time here to Cesar in behind, who's roughly hanging around about that 1 second gap as Bruce Tannock has gone off the road at turn 5. Maybe pushing a little bit too hard, I'm unsure. I don't think there was contact made, but he's just run off the circuit, and that debris that's just come off the road there, Scotty, that could be a major factor in these wet conditions. We know how slippery it's been in the dry, i.e. look back at Road America down at Canada Corner. How bad is it when there's a bit of moisture added on top for good measure? That could be a dangerous corner, and a corner getting even more dangerous as this race goes on.
Absolutely, I can attest to that. As soon as they throw some marbles or a bit of debris on the track, it is extremely noticeable in these wet conditions. You can feel the front end go, and then the rear wants to go on you. You've got to be very careful. Fortunately, we have the racing flags which say, hey, there's debris on track, and you've got to catch that in time. Otherwise, yeah, like you say, it could be trouble. Could prove, you know, we might lose a couple of tenths there and give an opportunity to the driver behind to get past you. Looks like things are clearing a little bit there in the sky at the moment, Hamish. There is slight change in conditions, and I would say, and I would emphasise slight, but they are there.
Yeah, it's when we say changing conditions, the clouds are just, they're going to clear slightly. We may still get some drizzle here or there, but it's not going to be nearly as different as what it was at Interlagos, where we went from dry to wet conditions. The track should remain wet throughout the whole race tonight because of how much it has been raining thus far already. Even if it stopped raining right now, Scotty, the track would still be wet by the time the checkered flag flies. That's how much water has already been thrown onto this Jerez circuit here. So it's going to remain a bit moist, but the question is it going to get any more precipitation from the sky that could then make it a little bit more slippery? Damon Fisher at the moment, down 2. He's in behind Reese to go at this stage. Now, we mentioned the pit stop differential for Doble and Crisdale to Cesar. Well, if we compare Fisher's pit stop time, 23.1 seconds, Doble's was 22.6. At the moment, with the next pit stops happening, probably within the next 10 laps or so, Doble's projected to actually come out of pit lane ahead of Damon Fisher.
That's quite phenomenal, isn't it? Again, I would, you know, if they can make this strategy work, if Doble can keep up the pace, which it seems like he's running a pretty good pace at the moment. His last lap was a 56.374. So, yeah, very, very strong times at this stage. So if he can keep that up, Hamish, throughout this stint, that is going to place him well to be able to do that jump. But again, the advantage is with Halal Caesar because he had that 5 second gap. So he has 5 seconds extra fuel on everyone else just to start with. As we see the 801 car, Burns, I believe it is, off the track, and more debris on that corner is getting spewed all over it. That's going to be very, very troublesome for the cars coming through.
It will indeed. Burns has been off the road, rejoins directly ahead of the car that he hit earlier on that brought out the safety car, Todd Duggan. Wasn't anything untoward between them that caused that moment. That was just wrong place, wrong time for Burnsy. Bretton O'Brien at the moment just wrestling this car through turn 2 and then up through turn 3, trying to get the power down as best he can on board the ERT machine. It's had an up and down season thus far as Bretton. Scotty got his first win in Split 2 in a fair while back at Road America. But there's just been, he still struggles in qualifying. How do you think he could maybe better that qualification process for himself, just to maybe get the car starting a bit higher up the field? give him a better opportunity at some solid points hauls throughout the season.
I think if he wanted to qualify better, he would need to do a more practice laps.
Yeah.
Brenton thoroughly enjoys his racing. He absolutely loves driving with the guys here at Split 2. Was a stellar performance at Road America. I've got to hear all about his chubby buns too, Hamish. I can tell you, it is all about the chubby buns with Brenton, and he thoroughly has deserved them. He's had some really great drives. Of note, though, we did talk about a strategy leading up to this race here, Hamish, and Brenton came up with this strategy, and I sort of looked at it and I thought, you know what, I don't know whether I'll use that because, perhaps I might be a little further forward than we were predicting he might start. As it turned out, I used his strategy to the lap number, mind you, and it paid off for me. So thank you very much, Brenton. That was a pretty good strategy you come up with.
I'll be honest, our fuel strategy was notice that the fuel was unlimited and then adjusted accordingly, and just took more fuel on the first stop than what we were going to. And it paid out. Yeah, it's paid out pretty well up to this point. Unfortunately for Shane, well, he's had a couple of off tracks. He's down 6 positions, so it hasn't worked too well for him. But for his teammate, the championship leader, Halil Cesar, it's worked out pretty well for him at the moment. He sits in the box seat to take the race lead after the second pit stop because he is still hot on the heels of Brad Doble in P2 at the moment. And for Crisdale in P1, he is nowhere near got enough gap to remain ahead of Cesar after this second pit stop period. So this is looking like that maybe this is Cesar's to lose at the moment because he's on the strategy benefit. I mean, he's taken the longest strategy out of anyone in the top 5. Anyone who could have taken a longer strategy is not behind him. So the math says when he comes out of pit lane, he takes a shorter pit stop, he's going to come out ahead of everyone. And he could come out ahead of everyone by a fair bit, which then leads me to believe that he could be our first driver this season to take 2 wins. And then you look at the other stats, Scotty, and you think, oh, he won in round 3. Does that all of a sudden make him the championship favourite with 3 rounds to go? The 2 wins is going to be pretty crucial, especially with 6 different race winners this season. If he can get that, it's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't want to moz him or apply too much pressure to him, but I would suspect at the moment that he is actually being held up, and he would be loving that he's been able to create that 4-second gap back to Reese DeGuy. So this has worked out absolutely beautifully for that Affinity Motorsport car because he is not only, like you mentioned, took on more fuel than everyone else that's close to, around him that could potentially challenge him, but he's also, in turn, got a 4-second gap and been able to hang with Doble. And I suspect he's probably saving some fuel here, Hamish, because I do think that he is getting slightly held up. I do think he has got the outright pace on these 2 cars in front. The visibility is probably hindering, but at this stage, if I was Halal, I'd be absolutely satisfied and very, very happy the way this race is going for him.
Well, I think at the moment too, well, he's done what since the restart? Done roughly about maybe 7 laps on this fuel, running around about 3.5 litres per lap, and he would have come out of pit lane 15, maybe 120 litres in the tank, so 3.5 times 7. He's already used 24 litres, so he's down to 100 litres on board the car, maybe down to 90 at the bare minimum. So he's actually getting closer and closer to a much more manageable fuel load where your lap times are not really running away from you. But he's got so much fuel in this car, he's running comparable lap times though with the race leader. It was a 156.41 the last time by. Crisdale's was a 156.97. So with more fuel in the car, he's actually running faster than the top 2 cars on the road at the moment. I mean, he is driving out of his skin at this stage. He's the championship leader, Halil Cesar. But you look at the lack of visibility there behind Doble and you think, does he have to wait until Doble pits and then really pushes on when he has those probably extra maybe 3 laps more or 4 laps more than what Doble will under his current strategy?
What's interesting, the last lap around, the only drivers that were able to be in the 56 was Damon Fisher, who is in from Team AGR in P5. We talked about Halal Caesar, he was in it. Brad Doble was also there with a 56.4. And we're talking last laps around. Again, it is this lap around, it is those top 4 drivers are the only drivers in the field who are in the 56s again. So very, very close, matching their times. So this is absolutely perfect. What I really liked, Hamish, was that shot of them coming down the main straight where the drivers are going offline, searching for a clear vision to try and spot their braking markers so they can gauge how long they could be on it. We could see a little move here. He's going to have a look up the inside, Hamish, and I think he's going to get this done. He's got the brakes on, going to slide in there very nicely. I cannot see Brad Doble fighting this very much, and that's a beautiful move that we've seen coming. We've seen him starting to apply the pressure over the last couple of laps. Now it's going to be knuckled down. He's going to go and chase Robert Crisdale. So this is on, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen that your leader or potential leader on fuel stop strategy, Halal Caesar, is prepared to take the overtakes on, risk it to try and gain even further of the lead over Reece DeGuy, Damon Fisher and Walker.
Well, he's now gaining on his championship rival, Brad Doble. There was 1 point separating them coming into tonight's round. At the moment, there'll be a couple of more if they were to finish how they are. But crucially, he's still within that 20 seconds to Rob Crisdale at the front of the field. So now with only one car between him and a possible second victory this season for Cesar, he's got to keep it clean. He's currently on a 0x at this stage. If he can remain there, could be a world of bonus points on offer for him off the end of this race. So at the moment though, Crisdale will be taking home bonus point for most laps led of this race thus far, as Simon Heddersheet's gone off the road further back in the field. And it's more debris getting dragged on the road down there. Needs to be careful the rejoin next to Crosby and Randall. But it's more debris getting dragged onto the track down at turn 11. That could turn into a real hot spot later on in this race.
Surprised the amount of drivers who have struggled on that corner specifically, Hamish, and have been dragging a lot of marbles onto it, as you mentioned. So that is proving a little bit of a struggle for these drivers, perhaps a little bit of excess water. What I would say is that we talk about in dry races about tracks getting rubbered in. As the races progress, especially in the wet, that racing line becomes even slicker. So that's something that may start to come into play as these laps go on, because you're still sort of taking the racing line, especially on quite a few corners, and perhaps that might catch a few drivers out. We'll have to watch that as the race goes on.
It definitely could. Fastest lap of the race last time by for Damon Fisher, 156.1 on that last traverse of this lap. We're yet to see a 155 here in racing conditions, but we're not going to see one for a little while actually, seeing as the majority of the cars have got much fuller fuel loads on board them at this stage. We've had a couple of chats here this evening as well, just to give everyone a quick shout out who has joined us thus far in the chat. Sean Cullen with us, Damon Fisher, Halil Cesar is out there. Joe Dice watching along with us as well over on the Infinity Broadcasting channel. Great to have you with us, Joe. Really appreciate it. Steve Grumley's out there watching along with us too. Rushy's with us in the chat as well. Brett Fisher, all the way from Bali, is joined us. It's all right, Brett. Have you got a teacher's note as to why you were late to the chat? Terry Taylor out there with us as well. Asking if that was Mulford and Crosby in the fence at the start. I think it might have been Terry, just quietly, but it's been a great race thus far. Here's Scotty, 17 laps into it, one safety car on the board thus far, but it's been a good green period of the race at this stage, and this is helping Crisdale not get too far buried when he does pit. He will undoubtedly get buried in the field, but it's not going to be as tough of a loss as what it would have been if we'd had a safety car immediately after the restart back at around about lap 9.
Absolutely, it would have. I was just sort of thinking to myself about how Brett being over in Bali, and there's no doubt he's sitting back with a nice bevo and a Bing Tang singlet on, watching this here go live, Hamish, as well as half-price tattoos. So I hope you're having a great time over there. It's, fantastic. I've had quite a few friends go over there to Bali and thoroughly enjoyed themselves.
I've never been myself. Not a big fan of muggy weather, if I'm honest with you, Scotty. So I try and stay away from holiday destinations that would have, warm but wet. I don't particularly like it very much. So, I try and stay away from Bali. I try and stay away from Cairns or Townsville during the wet season. About as far north as I'll go in Australia is probably Bundaberg, but that's only because there's good wine up there, pretty much. So, but
yeah, well, it's I'm a bit of a fan. I spent a long time up north. I used to absolutely love Cairns. I'd go back there in a heartbeat too. It was absolutely beautiful. But you're right, it does take quite some time to acclimatise. And this time of the year is a perfect time to travel to those tropics. So absolutely, Bresh is making the most of it over there. But there's some interesting times there. I was very surprised to see Damon Fisher get that lap time there. A 56.1, the fastest lap. He's just cracked out a 56.8, but just dropped a 57.2 in. So I'm not sure. It's something that I found, and I wonder whether your drivers came across it too, Hamish, where it was you could do one fast lap and then you had to rest a lap. It wasn't quite as good that lap, and then you could go fast again the next lap. So it was sort of backwards and forwards is what I found.
I think it's kind of like how the water gets dispossessed across the race. It's like you're able to maneuver around at full pace for one lap, but as soon as you go for another one the lap after, it's like, no, you can wait until the tide comes back in, or you can wait till the tide goes out again. It's like, I don't know, it's weird how the grip system works in the wet weather. Maybe it's that the tyres get overheated from getting such a good lap in and then they just can't grip up in the wet. Not 100% sure, but yeah, Brett asking if I'd like him to bring back a ladyboy. No, I would not. Thank you, Brett. I've got my own partner, thank you, so I do well with her. That'll do me fine. I don't need a Balinese ladyboy just yet. But no, I mean, I've been impressed tonight, Scotty, by quite a few drivers' performances. Matt Stoyles, quiet achiever tonight, doing really well. Dave Arney, quiet achiever tonight as well, up 2, doing quite well for himself here. Matt Monday, quiet achiever, up 8 positions into P13. Mark Houghton, he's down 3. But again, quiet achiever, P14 at this stage of the race. A great performance from Mark. And then as well, I think Brett Taylor, up 5. Great performance from him. Could be on for a top 10 if things go his way.
It's interesting you talk about that because we did speak about Dave Arney in the lead up to this and how he's had maybe one of his inconsistent seasons where we know that he has the potential to be way in that deep in that top 10. So it's good to see him get up into the top 10 or being at P10 at the moment, right behind Brenton O'Brien. And he is putting the pressure on, like he wants this position, make no mistake about that. So, yeah, this would be a really good confidence building for him, get a couple more consistent results because that was the key feature of his racing was his consistency. But I agree with you there. Matthew Monday up 8 positions to P13. I think that's absolutely sensational and a really good drive for him at this stage.
Yeah, it is indeed. Remembering as well, not that we're planning to nominate anyone right now because we're only halfway through the race. Remembering as well, though, we have got alternate rules for the wet races here in the Vets for the driver of the day. Means the race winner can be nominated if we feel the performance is good enough. That could be they could go 0x and win the race, for example. It could be that they just drove a phenomenal race to take home the win, and we decide, well, they deserve to at least be nominated and for the chat to vote on them. So that is an open opportunity tonight. For example, Crisdale could strategize his way to a race win tonight, Scotty, and we feel that's a great performance, so he gets nominated. Cesar could fight his way back to the race lead, go 0x, win the race. That could be good enough too. There's so many different scenarios at hand tonight that we need to think about when we do plan to put those names forward. But because it is wet racing, it is different conditions, which means we can put up the race winner. Where normally with our regular cold track, dry weather, we wouldn't put them forward. So it is an opportunity tonight for somebody to take advantage of that with one extra position available for the Driver of the Day nominations. And at this stage, I mean, there are probably 2 names on the list that I think have been driving out of their skin tonight. One of them is Halil in P2, who looks to go P1 after the pit stops. And the other, I think right now, is probably either Matt Stoyles or Matty Monday. I think they've both been driving great in the midfield, and they're both doing really well.
Yeah, there is some good drives here. It's an interesting phase of the race as we're approaching halfway. I know we're at lap 20. We've got another few more laps before we get to halfway of this race. But yeah, there is a little bit of a fatigue factor here, Hamish, and it's something that I did struggle with myself at this track, was the fatigue of it. Very, very difficult, very easy. And I remember talking to you about it, about how the mind can wander throughout the race, especially if you were by yourself on an alternate strategy. You had a little bit of clear air around you. I was starting to think of all sorts of different things and what I was going to have for dinner the next night type stuff. And I had to get myself back in the game and go, hey, hang on, pull yourself back in. We're in a wet race here. Don't go sliding off just yet,
Yeah, it's it's interesting how a track like Jerez, you can really start to get into sort of a daydream rhythm, can't you? Even in wet conditions, you can just start cutting laps around here and all of a sudden a mistake can be made. It's a bit like Watkins Glen in that way, I think. I think with Watkins you can start to get into flow state and get into full concentration, and all of a sudden you just start to daydream because you've just been cutting lap after lap after lap. And eventually, just through, I don't think it's boredom, but I think just through doing the same thing repetitively, you then make just a very small mistake, and a very small mistake can cost you out there on track as Rob Crisdale comes into pit lane out of the race lead. So the 808 car has gone as far as it possibly could here, Scotty, in this race. He'll now drop positions, and I'll be interested to see how far down he goes here off this second pit stop, because there's a bit of work that he might need to do throughout the rest of this race here as Cesar takes the race lead.
Don't mind this strategy from Crisdale. I can assure you, you can do 26 laps on a set of tyres. He'll be changing tyres absolutely now. Where he comes out in traffic is going to be absolutely crucial for Rob. If he can get a little bit of clear air, this is going to work for him. If he gets trapped up behind a few cars and has to hold his position, it's not quite be as good. Remembering we've got all the other drivers who really need to cycle through on their second pit stops. As we see another driver, it looks like they're going to go through on their second pit stop. He's going to come out in a little bit of traffic here. Will he clear the next driver ahead? No, he's not. So he's got a little bit of work to do there, Hamish.
He will indeed. He's going to come out just in behind Sean Cullen and possibly Derek Lovegrove. So a big loss in pit lane for Rob Crisdale. Bit of work to do. Needs to hope these drivers ahead of him come through pit road. Well, that's going to help him there. Derek Lovegrove just going around at turn 2. One free spot for Crisdale. He's going to have to hope that the cars ahead of him decide to come through pit lane very, very shortly just to make his job a little bit easier tonight. There's the race leader, Halil Cesar, with Brad Doble in behind him. Reese DeGoey, 5.6 seconds back. He's got Damon Fisher still hanging out with him tonight. I'm very impressed by Damon's race thus far. Doing a very, very good job at this stage of the race. Lon Mackay in P5. Steve Lanyon back in P6 at the moment. He's up 4 spots. He's got Matt Stores on his heels. Dave Arney has finally offloaded and gotten past Brett and O'Brien for P8 on the road now. O'Brien in P9 and Mick Clifton making up our top 10 to Brett Taylor, Mark Houghton, Matt Munday, Tim Mulford and Bruce Tannock for our top 15. Randall, Heddersheed, Viger, Blanchard, Cullen the top 20. Crisdale, Lovegrove, Burns, Reynolds, Zeal, Crosby, Hoffman and Duggan make up our 28 car running order at this stage of the race. Well, lap 22 of 46. We're halfway to home just about. It's a little Cesar controlling this one.
Can we just go back to Robert Crisdale there, Hamish? I really want to emphasise something here, because he came out of pit lane right behind Sean Cullen. And because he's put fresh tyres on, he has dropped 3.8 seconds. Just like that, and has come under pressure from Lovegrove behind him, who's got the warmer tyres. So Crisdale is under immense pressure, and that shows the difference. Again, look at it now, it's 4.6 seconds he's lost to Cullen. So he needs another 2 laps, Hamish, before he can start to claw that back, start to gain it back, and get some confidence back under him. So this will be interesting. If he can hold Lovegrove off over the next lap or 2, then he'll start making ground again on Cullen, who was in P12. Something to watch and something to take note of.
The big factor now is how's this changeover period going to be for Rob, compared to how long Halil can go for and how long Brad can go for. Now, Brad took a 22.6 second stop. It's going to be roughly about 50 litres or so going into the car. Halil would have taken roughly 75 litres, so give or take 6 laps between them in the distance they can go on this tank. How much now could this next maybe 14 laps, how much can Crisdale make up across those 14 laps? Because he's got to get these tyres up to temp. He's then going to try and catch and pass Sean Cullen, Chris Blanchard, Rick Viger, etc., etc. Is he going to be able to make up enough time on fresh rubber to those guys at the front of the field, or do we think he may be a little bit too far away now?
I think he is a long way back. He is on the back foot. It looks like the tyres are coming to him. So that 4.6 seconds is down to 4.3 just on this lap alone, and you can see him starting to make ground over Lovegrove. So the tyres are coming to him. You've got to remember, I suspect the drivers in front will all be taking fresh tyres to get themselves to the end of the race. That potentially means they're going to be on that 4 to 5 second deficit while Crisdale is on hot tyres, so he'll make gains there on their pit stops to come.
Houghton and Mulford into pit lane as well, so this could be 1 or 2 spots that Crisdale makes up. They're just exiting pit lane now as he comes up the main straight up towards turn 1. He's got both of them before pit exit, so for Crisdale, maybe could get up as far as P12 in this race prior to everyone doing their pit stops. If he's able to pass guys like Mulford and Houghton, who are inside the top 15, could still be onto him. 2 stops, Terry. 2 stops per race, 2 compulsories. We have got some rounds across the year where it's only 1 compulsory pit stop, but they must do 2 here this evening. Not that they must do 2 to get home. They could have gotten home with 1, but they have to traverse pit lane twice as per the rule book. So makes the strategy game a bit harder for some drivers out there, Scotty, whether they take the split stop or if they maybe take a bit more in one stop than the other, whether that's the first or the second. They must do it across 2.
Absolutely, and we talk about that tyre difference for these 12 tyres. Crisdale 2.8 seconds behind now, so he's almost made 1.8 seconds in the last 2 laps as those tyres come up to temperature. Something to keep in note. I think that's going to play a part on how drivers handle their second and final pit stop here. But at the moment, you're on board with Shane Randall, driving extremely well this season too, Hamish, I must add. I did have a look at his results prior to jumping in the booth with you, as we see a big wiggle from Simon and his chief behind. He is absolutely trying to push that red Mustang. But getting back to Shane Randall, been driving extremely well. Car looks absolutely classy for him, and it's good that he's got Halal Caesar up there in front. I'm sure that's helping him out as well.
Yeah, definitely a driving factor to him trying to push to do better this season. Has had some frustrations across the season, namely back at Road America. Just really dealing with some proper mountains to climb in a couple of these races this season. Needs a good turnaround, probably not just tonight, but over the next few weeks as well. I think major momentum swing needs to come probably next week at the Bend if he hopes to really solidify maybe a top 6 in the championship once again. I've mentioned it before this season. He was the number 1 seeded Split 2 driver who was left in Split 2 after last season's promotions and demotions. P2 in the split for the seedings is the championship leader Halil Cesar, his teammate. So there's a bit of pressure on him from that factor, but he is a very consistent driver, is Shane, and he does really start to get into the swing of things for the final few rounds of the season. He's proven that before.
Both former Split 1 drivers. Just want to add something in there, Hamish. Robert Crisdale is down to 0.7 of a second behind Sean Cullen. That is how much the tyres can change, can come on, and they have absolutely come on for Crisdale from his final stop. So he is absolutely flying at the moment. His last lap was a 56 flat, so traffic could be a bit of a burden here for him, Hamish.
It could very well indeed. Halil says a new fastest lap of the race. We've got a 155 in the books here, a 155.7, as Crisdale starts to put the pressure on Sean Cullen. And the reason we focus up on this is Crisdale is one of our 3 championship contenders this season. There are others amongst that top 5 pack as well who could challenge, but reasonably speaking, Crisdale is the most likely to challenge. Massive drop-off, though, across this previous period for Brad Doble. Gap's now out to above a second to Halil Cesar in the race lead. So he is not he's not a happy camp at the moment, is Brad. But he has got a nice gap back to Reese to go. He should remain in P2 of this race come the end of the pit stop period.
Yeah, absolutely should. It's been a good drive by Brad. I know that he's chopped off the back of Halal, but I mean, Halal's absolutely flying, ladies and gentlemen. Have no shakes about that one. He is setting the scoreboard alight no matter what he's doing. So for Doble to be able to still go with him, be pretty much the second fastest car on track at this stage or thereabouts with Reese de Gooey. We're talking within a 10th behind on the last lap around. He's driving fantastic. So, but he does have that fuel stop to come, Hamish. He does have that tyre deficit. So when that happens, that's going to be interesting. As we see, that's a big one. That's Fisher?
Damon Fisher.
He's got all sorts of damage there, Hamish. Yep. Hopefully he can get this car back around, but it is in a bad way.
Absolute tatters is that NZ car for Team AJR at the moment. Terry Taylor asked a good question actually in the chat. Chris Dowd first to complete all the stops. Who else? So technically Blanchard, who is ahead of Crisdale, has had 2 stops. I think only one of them is counted as a compulsory, which was on lap 3. He's not taken a pit stop since then, as Fisher, Clifton, Mackay are all in. So is Tannick. The other asterisk, it's a good thing to remember as well, is you can only take a compulsory pit stop as of the first green lap of the race. So you cannot take a compulsory stop on lap 1. You can only take it as of lap 2 if there is no safety car called on the first lap of the race. So your first point of call always is lap 2. If there's a safety car, it's whichever the first green lap after the restart is that you can take that first compulsory stop. But for Blanchard, he's still got 1 to go. Mackay's been in and he's left pit lane and he's up in P12 at the moment. Here's Scotty. He's got a good gap at the moment over Crisdale, roughly 4.8 seconds back to P14 in Crisdale, who is chasing down a podium finish here tonight, but he's got some work to do if he hopes to get there. I don't know if he can get there at this stage, probably a little bit far away, especially with the time differential on the pit stops further ahead of him. But plenty of time that he could make up, especially if these drivers are taking tyres and they get the natural drop-off that he had when he first got into his stint.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see how ginger he was on the acceleration then. He's obviously got fresh tyres on. They're green, and we've seen the deficit, how much you drop off over those 2-3 laps, and then how much you can actually gain back again. So it's really almost, by putting tyres on, you're looking at a 10, 12 lap sort of where you might get some gains from it. So, come to the 10th, 12th lap, be able to get that time back that you've lost. So very, very crucial for Lorne McKee to get these tyres up as soon as he can. As we see De Gooey into pit lane. This is another very important stop where he comes out, if he can get a clean run, and how he goes with these fresh tyres, which I suspect he's taken again. So
we'll see where he ends up in comparison to Mackay. Of course, Fisher dropped a heat because he came in with damage on board that Team AJR car, probably dropped him outside of the top 10. Brett in the chat saying nice work from Doble, blowing out to 2.5 seconds. Back to 750. I believe he might mean the car number possibly behind, but Brad's doing a good job. He's got about 1.1 seconds up to the race leader. Mackay comes past pit exit to go. He's well ahead of him. So Reese could be on for a podium here tonight. Plenty of work to be done to get up there if he does. But he's just
see how ginger he is on the throttle. These are fresh tyres.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And you can see the attitude of the car. There is nothing. And it's kind of, as a driver, these next 2 laps are crucial, because if you don't get this right, when you start bleeding heaps of time, but 2, you're a real chance of binning it, putting it into the wall and ruining your night. So this is absolute concentration to the max for Reece de Gooey. He'd be really concentrating, making sure he hits his mark. Seemed just run a little wide there, leading on to the back straight.
Brad Doble as well is back up within a second of the race leader here, Halil Cesar. But it's not really going to make much difference, Scotty, because Brad's got to give up 10 seconds of time in pit lane compared to Halil. So, and I don't think Brad can go much further than this to be able to build up that 10 seconds. So barring a mistake from the 5 car, I don't see a world in which Brad can pit and take the lead from Halil Cesar here, unless he makes a pit stop mistake or he has a mistake on track. That's the only 2 scenarios I can see that happening. But for Brad, he will at least hope that maybe if he goes to the move, Halil will give it to him, knowing that he's got time to gain on Brad in the pit stop, and then that may help Brad gain some spots, further back in the field. But at the moment, he is at least giving up points from P1 to P2. But this is the wet racing conditions that we get. We get wet, and drivers can't necessarily send it as hard as what they could in the dry, but it really benefits those who are smooth, clean, and consistent. And this season thus far, Brad Doble and Halil Cesar have been the 2 cleanest and most consistent drivers across the board.
I still think this is a very good drive, very smart drive by Doble. He didn't fight the challenge for the lead from Halil too much. He knew where he was racing, where he's at. He knows he's got another pit stop, knows he's going to drop time. But what he'll probably be looking at, Hamish, is can I still get P2? Can I still get P3? Am I still in the hunt for the next major sort of points for Halil? Because he is not in the competition at the moment, not in the race for Halil. He's in his own league at the moment, Hamish, and it is his race to lose. As we see Doble come into the pit stop now, this is going to be crucial where he comes out on track and how he handles the cold tyres.
So Brad Doble into pit lane. So we'll get a good view of his stop and see where he ends up. Crucially where he ends up in comparison to Reece de Gooey. So he'll pull in just ahead of where the safety car's parked. He'll go up on the jacks as well. And for de Gooey, he's roughly 56 seconds back prior to Doble coming into pit lane, as Dave Arney comes in as well. So a couple of cars will get past them across this stop, but we need to keep an eye on the background of when Reece de Gooey comes through. There is, that's Andrew Hoffman. That there was Brett Taylor. Doble's just dropped now, so he's going to have plenty of time back to Reece de Gooey and should well and truly be P2 in this race once the pit stop cycle is completed.
This will work out all right for him. Yes, he has got a little bit of traffic in front of him, but he's going to bleed time to them as these tyres come up to temperature. Oh, as you can see, it is right on. It is so sketchy. It's unbelievable how slippery it is, especially at this time of the race where, I know I talked about it earlier, Hamish, where the racing line itself starts to slicken up. And with the colder tyres, the green tyres, the cold track temperature, that all amplifies how slippery it can be. So these drivers are doing an amazing job to keep these cars on track at the moment.
Yeah, they are indeed. And just trying to get these tyres up to temp for Doble. So how much can Cesar now gain on him whilst he still has the warm tyres on board the Cooler Master Mustang at the front of the field? 21 seconds is the gap back to Steve Lanyon. And look at the car control through turn 12, just slightly adjusting the wheel there, just to keep the car in line, keep it in check. He's been one of the best wet weather races we have seen in Split 2, and with a P2 last season and a possible P1 this season on offer for him, he could go down as the best of the lot of them come the end of this race here tonight. So, but for Cesar, he is putting together a complete season at the moment, a complete championship. And this is the sort of run that he's been hoping to be on all season long. And for tonight, well, he'll hope to get maximum points on offer. For his teammate, Shane Randall, a bit further back, getting a bit loose. Continues his battle with Simon Heddersheed. He's got some work to do to catch up to his teammate in terms of performances, at the front of the field. But Shane is still running a very, very good season. We're going to take this time just to have a quick ad break and give thanks to our title sponsors of this series, Racecraft Simulations. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very, very shortly after these very, very quick messages from Racecraft. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Racecraft Simulations V8 Veterans action for Split 2 here in Round 7 of Season 24 at Circuito De Jerez. If you want to go chat with John and the team over at Racecraft Simulations, we highly implore you do. Head over to 16 Grogan Road, Perth Airport, chat to John and the team, check out some of the rigs they've got on offer. And if you've got a bit of spare coin, fork out for that PT1 as well. As well to our other series sponsors, Logitech G, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, Südspeed Gloves, LGC Images, Nova Simsports, and Chubby Buns Burgers for the Driver of the Day Award too. We give them a massive thank you as the race leader is into pit lane and taking his final stop of the race. Pulls it up, aims it at pit exit. Where's he going to end up in comparison to Brad Doble? I think he's going to have roughly a 10-second gap by the time he exits pit road.
Not a little bit more. We see Lanion's in, Stalls in as well, Brent O'Brien's in. So, oh no, Brent, no, he didn't. He's going to do another lap. So your top three leading up have pitted. I think Halal's going to be a mile in front there, Hamish. Or there is a little bit of a car there, so he's going to have to watch his pit exit. So did he take tyres? He's probably on cold tyres. There's another car right behind him in O'Brien. So he's going to come under attack early till he builds up those temperatures. But I don't think that phases him because he knows those drivers, one is a blue lapped car, the other one he's racing for position.
Yeah, and he knows that O'Brien needs a pit stop as well, so he may just be happy to give the lead up to him if he goes for it. There's Doble. So the gap is 13.5 seconds between effective P2 and effective P1 for the 5 car and the 302. O'Brien, though, looks to take the position from the race leader, get himself an extra point for leading a lap, possibly, if he continues round. Wants it on the inside, gets the job done, it seems. Yes, he does. So Cesar not willing to fight it. He knows that O'Brien needs another stop. Might as well give away a spare point just for free there and save your whole race.
Absolutely. There is no point, there is no benefit of him finding that position while he gets his tyres up to temperature. And as you say, he'd be well aware that the Logitech G car, Brent O'Brien car number 26, it needs another pit stop. But I don't mind this strategy of Brenton. You know, he's going as long as he can using the warmth of these tyres. So he perhaps might get a little bit of a gain here.
He could get a bit of a gain, maybe stay inside the top 10. I mean, he's got roughly a 32-second gap back to Chris Blanchard, so could maybe stay within the top 10 here if it plays out for him. The question now is, it'll be going to be a great result. I mean, he started back in P16, so if he can get a top 10, starting P16, that's a great effort from Brenton and a great points haul as well. You know, he finished inside the top 10 last season. He'd love to do it again here for season 24. Lap 33 of 46, 14 laps to go. And Halil Cesar is just waiting in the wings to take back the race lead here this evening. And looks to take his second race win of the season and become the first driver to do so here in season 24. Would really solidify himself as one of the championship contenders for the end of the season.
Absolutely, and you know, we have a look at the other drivers there in Stoyles. Absolutely great pit stop by him. He came in at the same time as Caesar and Doble. He's up 5 positions into P4 at the moment on track, which effectively is your P3, your podium place getter. He's under all sorts of pressure by Reece de Gooey, though. Don't get that. He wants that by all means. And Reece is down 3 positions, Hamish. He won't be happy with that. He knows that maybe he lost out a little bit there in a couple of areas, and he definitely has the pace to challenge Stoyles all the way to the line. This is going to be a good race. He's going up the inside, I think. He's going to have a good long look at it, Hamish. Will Stoyles fight it? I don't think so, not at this stage, although it does look like he's interested in having a go. So this is great racing, side by side on a wet track at Jerez or Jerez, however you want to pronounce it. But they're still side by side, Hamish. That is incredible as they're heading up to the turn 9. That was turn 8, turn 9. Here goes de Gooey up the inside. He should have this done. If he doesn't, run it wide on that water, and he does. This gives the inside now to Stoyles. Absolutely fantastic racing here, guys. Plenty of respect shown, but I do think de Gooey has got the place done. Took only half a lap. I probably didn't call it the best I could because I was absolutely amazed by the driving.
It was fantastic. That was one of the best battles we've seen all day. That was a fantastic bit of driving between both of them as Brenton O'Brien comes into pit lane. So Cesar takes the race lead, Brad Doble into P2, and Reece de Gooey will be corrected up into P3 of this race as they traverse past pit lane. Brenton O'Brien is just exiting pits now, so we'll see where he ends up in comparison. Blanchard's in for his final stop. Viger needs to come in for his final stop too. Looks to be a top 10 position for Brenton O'Brien after this pit stop period. That's a fantastic effort from the ERT boss, and he'll be P9 by the time Rick Viger comes through pit road as well.
That is a really good strategy. He went long, he used the warmth in those tyres. He will come under a bit of pressure from Dave Arney, whose tyres are coming up. But like you say, he'll still get an extra position from Rick Viger when he does his pit stop. Robert Briscoe, I know we followed it, but he is now up 1 position into P7. So his strategy has kind of worked for him, Hamish, considering he started in P8 with several positions at the start with an alternative strategy, got himself up +1 P7 at this stage of the race.
And he sits hot on the heels of Steve Lanyon at the moment. Lorne Mackay's up there as well into P5 of this race at this stage, and I think, you know, it has been a phenomenal race thus far. And how do we even possibly divvy it down to 4 drivers to nominate tonight, Scotty? Because I think there have been some spectacular drives out there. As Bruce Tannock has had a minor off track, he's got it back going again. And he gave up a bit of time back to Brett Taylor, but not too bad of an effort from him. I mean, for 4 names, I think right now off the rip, the 4 I'd probably put forward would be probably Halil, I think De Goey's won it this season. I can't remember if Brad has. I don't think Matty Stoyles has. I think Matty will be one of my front runners. Maybe Lord Mackay, and then maybe Brenton O'Brien if he can lock out this top 10. Although I think he's already won it this season, so we can't even nominate him. So yeah, it's going to be tough to divvy this down. And this is probably one of the tougher things when we get to a race later in the season. We've only got so many names we can put forward. But at the moment for me, the front runner for Drive of the Day is Hillel Cesar no matter what. But we do like to put up 4 names, and I think a close second is Matty Stoyles, having a great run up 5 in the P4 at the moment.
It's an interesting one. You're definitely right. You've got to put Whale up there. He's driven forward. Brad Doble, he's got to be up there. Stoyles has got to be up there because they are fantastic drives in these conditions to get themselves on the podium and make positions gained from there. The other driver that I think has driven very well is Steve Lanyon, who, he's got himself up +4 into P6. I think that's a good drive, and maybe been lacking a little bit of confidence, perhaps, as Steve Lanyon, because we know that he can win races and win them well too, Hamish. So I'm surprised to see him in the championship stand. He's not as far forward as perhaps what we can imagine he could be.
Well, only time will tell how this plays out for these drivers tonight. I am just double checking who has won Driver of the Day thus far this season. So at the moment, non-eligible would be Reese De Goey. He's already won it. Same for Brenton O'Brien. So Brad Doble would be capable of being nominated if he can manage to get out this P2. But I then also think as well, Scotty, if we're able to nominate the race winner tonight, if it is Hillel Cesar, pretty hard to go past Hillel over Brad, because he'd get the position over him as P1 on the road.
Yeah, I think when you've had a dominant performance like this, what it was mentioned in the chat that Brad did gain back a little bit of time to Hillel, back to 7 seconds behind him. But I do think that was, perhaps a little bit of traffic in front of Hillel. And at this stage of the race, he doesn't need to take any risks. He's got 10 laps to go. He's got the fastest lap. He's led the most laps. And he's sitting on a 0x, with pole position. One could say this is almost a perfect race for him.
It really is. It really is. Terry Taylor actually making a very good point about Darren Crosby in the wall lap 1. He's back to P19. That's a pretty good drive thus far. He is down 5 at the moment into P19. I would maybe argue, could we argue he should maybe get to P15 and then we could nominate him as a comeback drive tonight, Scotty? Or do we think P19 is a pretty fair comeback drive to nominate him at some point?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's because you do like to see drivers, have that fighting spirit, that never give up attitude, and he has definitely shown that in spades tonight. It would have been very easy to fold it in and said, well, I'm not playing in the rain. And but he has come back and driven exceptionally well. So it is a worthwhile mention there, and I'm glad Terry brought that up because he definitely needs some credit for his drive, regardless of whether he gets nominated or not.
I agree. I think a great name to shout out for sure. And if we look at, let me just double check the penalties because I see. Well, actually, Darren got a penalty for that first incident on lap 1. So I actually think the better performance is actually Tim Mulford, who had the contact with him, up 6 into P9. That's a great effort from Tim. I mean, so I think unfortunately because Darren actually had a drive-through off that incident and has gone back to P19, that might have to make him null and void. Unfortunately, because that means that race control's determined it was Darren's fault, not Tim's.
I would tend to agree with that, but like we alluded to, it's still a great comeback drive by Darren and a great comeback drive by Mulford as well, because if both those drivers are involved, no one likes incidents. And I did see that damage, especially on the front right quarter of Tim Mulford's early on in the race. And he's made it work. He's got the most he can out of this. And I think that's what racing is about, is sometimes it doesn't go all your way, Hamish. But if you get the most that you can as a driver and the most that you can out of that night, that race, then that's what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Adrian Zeal just letting the traffic come past him at this stage. Matty Stores, Lorne Mackay, Steve Lanyon battling away for P4. They've got P3 up the road from him in Reese Tagoe. A fantastic effort from Reese tonight into P3. Matty, though, driving out of his skin at this stage into P4 as well, though, which has been really, really great to see. Gap still around about 7 seconds between the race leader and P2 in Brad Doble at this stage of the race. We're a little bit more spread out further back in the field as there goes Lorne Mackay off the road. Massive spin, caught, I think he caught one of the puddles there, Scotty. Went round, dragged a heap of debris back onto the track. Out of that battle he goes for P3 on the road, but remains in P8. He's done a great effort there to not only keep it out of the wall, but keep it out of the way of any other cars on the road.
Absolutely, and that's that turn 9. It was on my radar, was turn 9. I was very, very worried about it. Through testing, it would form at this sort of water, especially on the inside. So if you like to hunt the apex early, you'd find yourself into all sorts of problems there at turn 9. And I suspect that time there that Mackay Lorne just went a little bit early on the apex and he caught that standing water on the inside. Very unfortunate for him. Great
race once again tonight as well by Sean Cullen. Doing a fantastic effort, up 5 positions at the moment into P21, battling away with Shane Randall and Chris Blanchard. So that's some pretty notable company to be battling around at this stage. Back in P21 as Lorne has just had another incident. He's had to let the traffic go past him. He is struggling for grip right now. Scotty, that car is hurting for tyre grip. And he's now dropped outside the top 10 thanks to that as well.
Works, isn't it? If you one thing leads to another, and he's found himself in behind Brenton O'Brien, you want to try and get that P10, at least get something out of this race. He's had 2 within a lap. He's had those 2 incidents. I wonder whether he has taken tyres throughout this race. Now, we touched on it before. Sean Cullen is a driver that did not take tyres out of this race. I wonder whether Lorne Mackay is another one.
Quite possibly could be. Lack of grip on board that car. It's a real struggle for him. He's battling away. Look at the loss of grip as well for Cullen. In towards turn 5. Round he goes. Big incident there for Sean Cullen. Big loss of traction through that corner. He's gotten it back going again.
Tyres.
Yeah.
That's tyres right there. So he's got a good 38 laps out of him, and it's really starting to affect him now. But gee whiz, to go 46 laps without changing your tyres in wet weather conditions, I know that does look after him, but the rears still hurt here in the wet. They still burn up quite quick in comparison to the fronts.
Yep, notice as well, guys like Paul Burns, Andrew Hoffman, they're still going, Adrian Zeal as well. This stage of the race, catching massive puddle there for Burns. Wild ride across the grass and across the track and into the wall. Massive contact for the Odo 1 Simsports car. He's well offline. That engine's just gone. It's still had a bit of life to it, but it's just kicked the bucket as he's gone to put it into reverse. He's well offline though here, Scotty, so I wonder if they'll actually call the safety car.
Especially, we've got 7 laps to go. Very interesting incident, that one. It looked like he'd got it back under control, and then all of a sudden the back went again, which did speed him off into the wall. So very unfortunate. Has had a rough night, has Paul Burns tonight.
Well, he is far off the track. He's not too far away from that marshalling area, which would, we'd see the car get dragged into.
Yes, correct.
But, he is in a dangerous spot, though. I mean, it's right after a braking zone, a heavy braking zone as well. And safety car is being called by race control. So they've determined he's not in a safe position. So all of a sudden, that 6.4 second gap that Halil Cesar had at the front of the field is about to become null and void. In fact, he's actually managed to jump the safety car exiting pit lane. So he needs to push now. He needs to push on this lap just to try. Well, he's not really going to gain anything, is he? He's going to still end up behind the safety car with everyone else locked in horns behind him.
No, that's right. He's not going to gain anything by doing it. So, the safety car is just going to pick him up next lap, and everyone else can pass the safety car if he comes out on track. The only thing that he may want to do is make sure no one can get fresh tyres. That would be something.
Yeah.
Although you wouldn't take them. Why would you take tyres now? There's no need to come in because you just wouldn't get them up to temperature in time.
Yeah, but it's not like it's dry weather where fresh rubber would be your best friend. It would actually probably pay detriment to you if you went for that strategy. So, be interesting how this plays out now for the race leader. It's the two of our championship contenders, two former race winners this season as well, battling away for the race lead. Now, there's the other storyline of, could we see the sneaky upset? Could we see Reese Tagoe or Matt Stoyles sneak on by and take their first race win of the season and go 7 from 7? That stat is still alive. That opportunity is still alive. At the moment, though, based on the pace we've seen this race, based on how clean this race has been, and based on what we've seen under safety car restarts this season, Scotty, the money's got to be on the 5 car to take everything home. Because we look back at Long Beach where he let off the safety car restart, went on to win the race. He had the safety car restart down to perfection. I think tonight could be a similar scenario, and this is going to be a tough car to beat based on what we've seen thus far.
And I think he's just been cruising, managing the gap. I know Doble was, he was gaining time back over the last sort of 10 laps or so, but I think Allows just been cruising, monitoring it and driving to that gap, which is what you do when you've got such a big gap in front. But in that, this is going to be quite exciting, Hamish, because, if you're Doble, DeGuy, Stoyles, Lanyon, even Crisdale, how much do you risk here? How much do you put on the line to gain that extra spot or two? Is it there? Is the risk versus reward, especially in these wet conditions?
I think if you haven't won a race this season, so if you're in the position of Reese Tagoe, Matt Stoyles, Steve Lanyon, if you get the opportunity, go hell for leather. Have a crack at it. If you're Cesar, if you're Doble, arguably if you're Crisdale as well, you just want to try and solidify the position that you are in. You want to try and solidify the points. If Doble gets an opportunity to get past Cesar, he will take it 100%. There is no doubt about that. He will go for it because it'll be another race win to his name, and that'll only help him in this championship fight. But I don't think he's going to force the issue to try and create an opportunity, Scotty. I think he's going to hope that there's one that presents itself, like a bit of a free sample. I don't think he's going to try and force it, though. I think if it's there, he'll take it, but he won't try and kick the door in.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I do know one driver that will not be afraid to send him in these conditions. That is a driver in a P13. He's up to 9 positions. So it's been a good night. He's had been on and off the track a little bit throughout it. But Bruce Tannock, we know that he'll have a little bit of a send there. And, you see Horton and O'Brien in front. They'll be well aware of Tannock's ability. Something about the New Zealand drivers, they are very good in wet conditions, not only in real life, but on the sim as well.
They are indeed. And there's a couple of Kiwis amongst this field, of course. Tannock being one of them, Heddersheet another as well. So they'll be hungry to fight this out for position. One of them, in fact, Reese Tagoe, up in P3 at the moment. So the Kiwis are looking good to get a solid result here tonight.
That has been a great drive by Reese. He's had some really good competition around him, and to find himself up into that podium position at this stage with only a handful of laps to go on this restart. It looks like we're going to get another lap in here, Hamish. There must be some drive wave throughs that they've got to get done.
There's there's wave arounds, and not every car has actually caught the safety car. So because the safety car couldn't get out on track early enough to catch the race leader, we saw him come past pit exit pretty much right as the safety car was getting ready to go. That meant we had an extra lap whilst we weren't behind the safety car. So that has extended the safety car period now by about a lap or so. So I think we'll probably go green next time by, as everyone should have caught up by then, and the wave around should be completed as well.
Absolutely, you would think that they would. you know, and what we need is someone in there to be able to turn the assist off on that safety car. Wouldn't that be something to see as it speeds away? But anyway, we'll see how it goes, getting itself into pit lane tonight, Hamish. I'm sure it will be fine.
I think it'll be fire up Tom Freeman fans if that happens, Scotty. Bit of throttle control from the
fans would be out in force.
Bit of throttle control for the One Performance Racing driver when he gets back underway on board that car as well. So great though, great having everyone in the chat with us tonight. It's been fantastic. Brett Fisher apologising for spamming the chat. He is not sorry at all. That is lies and deceit from Brett Fisher. He's missing being able to have an open microphone on the stream, it seems, by getting into the open chat and chatting away. Absolutely. We love to see it, though, from Brett as he's out over on holiday. I'll be interested to see what his thoughts are in a couple of weeks' time as well, Scotty. It's great to have you in the booth for me, get your thoughts and your processes, what's happened this season. I'm interested to see what Brett's thoughts are when we head out to Misano, of what's occurred not only this week but next week at the Bend as well. Some incredibly intriguing opportunities on offer for these drivers this season, and some great storylines yet to be completed here throughout the portion of this season. I believe the waiver rounds have been completed, so I believe we'll be going green flag next time by. It should be the beginning of lap 43, so should be 4 laps to go in this one, a green flag running.
Would be a nice sprint to the line. Be very interesting for those playing along at home that weren't catching on to what we're talking about with the safety car and Scott Freeman. He used to be a fishing driver as well, in with the fishing crew there in race control, and is called the Frio 1, the number 1. If you ever want to have a look on YouTube, as a YouTube channel, a very good driver, very skilled driver, one of the busiest drivers I've seen in the cockpit actually, and quite enjoy watching some of his videos at times. So absolutely appreciate his support being safety car driver, as we do all those in race controllers. So shout out to him, give him a little bit of credit. But anyway, looks like we're going to go green very soon.
We'll be going green very soon. I quite enjoy getting into Freeman's chats during endurance events and giving absolute chirps to his co-driver Jake Edwards. It's absolutely hilarious to see Freeman's reactions to those. But Halil Cesar will get us back underway. It appears that the spray has died down a little bit in terms of the raindrops falling from the sky. They're still out there though, still a wet track. Be a wet track all the way to the end. 4 laps are running for Circuito De Jerez as Halil Cesar gets us back underway. Green flag went early off this restart here, Scotty, and it's a good restart from him. He's caught them napping a little bit in behind.
An absolute liner of a jump. That's perfect for what he wants to get done. He almost a second as they crossed the line, Hamish. That's how far he'd got that gap in. But Brad Doman's come under a lot of pressure by DeGoey, and of course Squirrel's right there, Lanion's right in there. So that top 5 from P2 to P5, they've got their own little battle going here as as Cesar is now over a second out in front.
Yeah, so he's already built that gap out to a second. And with only, 3.5 laps to go, well, it looks to be that could the curse be over? Could it be done and dusted tonight? Are we going to get our 2-time winner for the first time this season? And is it going to be Halil Cesar, which the stats say should be the projected champion? The stats previously, the last 2 seasons, the champion has come from a race win in round 3 of the season. And currently that moniker sits with Halil Cesar. As the battles continue on, Robert Crisdale, what a race for him thus far. Top 5 at the moment, has gotten past Steve Lanyon and has strategized his way there, Scotty. We thought, well, he could get buried in the field by taking the short stop early, but he's done well to strategize. He's only up 3 spots, but a top 5 finish tonight, that'll keep him in the championship hunt going forward.
Absolutely, it was phenomenal. It was really good because he showcased us the tyres, the differences, the different strategies available to these drivers in these conditions. And it was that alternative strategy. It was a great watch. Well done by Robert Crisdale. Sid Melford to be able to regain back those positions that he lost earlier with an incident. He's up 7 positions, Hamish, into P8. That's a phenomenal drive by him. Oh, we see a driver there. I think that was Wade.
It was. No, it was Lanyon.
Lanyon.
Yeah.
He's in position. He got that all sorts of out there on the stand.
Oh, he was all over the place. Nearly got the car beached off the bay as he went through turn 12 there. Now under pressure from Wade Reynolds and Tim Mulford, who is chasing him down at this stage. Fantastic race from Mulford thus far. Great comeback performance for him to get back up, not only past his position that he started, but into the top 10 as well. But he's looking ferocious and feisty when battling away here for P7 with Reynolds. Lap 44 of 46, 3 laps to go. Halil Cesar controls the field at the moment. Looks to be the Rainmaster of Split 2 after his previous performance last season at Interlagos and this current performance here tonight at Jerez, with an apparent second wet race to come this season and only 3 rounds to go after tonight. For my money, it's looking most likely to be Okayama in the last round of the season, but I could be wrong. Been proven wrong before. Happy to have that done so. But if it does go wet again this season, Scotty, it's going to be hard to look past Halil again. He's going to be one to keep an eye on when there's perspiration out there and there's moisture on the track.
Yeah, absolutely it is. He is driven superbly, and so is Doble. He's driven fantastic. We see a little bit of another move up the inside. Mulford wants this. He's going the long way around. He's got the outside, but the inside, crucially, as they come up to the next turn, he's going to get this job done, Hamish. I have my money on Mulford to make it happen, and he has. Is Lanyon going to capitalise on it? He's had a look up on the inside, got himself up on the curve, didn't quite have the traction, the drive, like Mulford did, and that's another position up to P6 for the Phoenix Racing Team driver.
Honestly, Mulford is driving one of his best races we have seen out of him here this evening. 3 traverses through pit lane here tonight. Contacted in the wall on lap 1 as Lanyon looks to go around the outside of Reynolds here for P7. A fantastic race though for Tim Mulford tonight. Finds him in P6 and 3 seconds away from a top 5. There's been a fantastic performance from him. Also need to give a big shout out to Pete Baxter. Got a message from him recently, I believe it was yesterday, just saying that unfortunately he's had to pull out this season due to health issues. He said hopefully everything will be sorted by the start of next season, but we just want to give a big shout out to Pete. Best wishes going to him, and hopefully we can see him back on track soon here in the Split 2 field. And I can only assume that the personal health issues are only being made worse by the constant rumours made by John Van Ree and co. that his brother Rob Baxter is looking to change teams. So hopefully that all gets sorted as well going forward. But big shout out to Pete Baxter and much love to him.
Absolutely, he is one of those drivers or members of the community would be the better way to say it, has had a big influence on things, on how things perhaps are run, and his time in race control has been exceptionally well received, especially in the Pro Series. You've got to remember, Pete Baxter gave up all that time within that position of Chief of Race Control for the Pro Series, for the first couple of seasons while he got underway. So hope you get well soon, Pete.
Matt Stoyles has now lost out position here to Rob Crisdale, who's managed to get up into P4. So once again, not that bad of a loss tonight for Rob, and has strategized his way into this position. It's been fantastic to see. And we've also got to give a shout out to some of the other drivers in the field who may not feature tonight in the Driver of the Day nominations, but I do want to give them a shout out. Darren Crosby was mentioned, did get a penalty early in the race, but has come back to P19 in a great effort here tonight. Chris Blanchard up 4 as well in a great effort. Sean Cullen in P22 has driven a fantastic race back there. And then I think as well we've got to give a shout out to Matty Monday up 6 positions, Tannick up 10, and then also to Mark Houghton, who has remained in P11 to this stage of the race, tucked right in behind his teammate Lorne Mackay as they battle away for P10. Some great driving from some of these drivers out there.
Absolutely has been a great result for them. And everyone who has completed this here should be absolutely satisfied with their race. Maybe it didn't go your way, maybe it did. But the challenge, that's what it's about as drivers. And they took on the challenge, they turned up, it was wet, it was raining hard, there was a lot of water, a lot of challenges along the way. But it's Halal Caesar here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It is his race. We've got Brad Doble less than 0.6 behind, going offline, Hamish, as we talked about, just to spot your braking marker again. It is not over. He's gaining in. He's down to 0.5.
Yeah, Halil dropped a little bit of time across that last lap to Doble in behind him. Could it be a last lap dash for Brad Doble to try and steal the race win if he can? For Halil Cesar, this gap is shrinking at this stage. Could it be second race win shrinking away from him as well? I don't know if there's an issue on the car at the moment. Maybe he's just lifted off a little bit to make sure that he maintains this race lead and he maintains this performance here tonight as well. We've gone 6 races this season, the first 6 rounds with 6 different winners. Trent Allen, Brad Doble, Halil Cesar, Bruce Tannock, Brenton O'Brien and Chad Viger. Our 6 winners thus far this season, but we get to round 7 and we get to our first double race winner of the season as Halil Cesar comes through the final corner, takes home the race win in the wet conditions at Circuito De Jerez here this evening. Brad Doble comes home P2 and Reese DeGoey an impressive performance on the podium in P3, Chrisdale P4, Stoyles P5, Mulford, Lanyon, Reynolds, Mackay the top 10. There's been an incident on the main straight to the start-finish line with Mark Houghton and Bruce Tannock. They're dropping spots at the moment, but a fantastic race from Halil Cesar finds him as the only 2-time race winner this season in a fantastic effort. And I'll give you another stat here, Scotty, and I'm just going to quickly double check that the stat is correct before I start talking out my behind a little bit here. Do you know one? There's one stat, Scotty, from the last 2 seasons. I've already mentioned the one stat of the round 3 winners gone to win the championship. Do you know what the other stat is that both the previous 2 champions in the Gen 3 era have in common?
Is it the one at Jerez? I don't know.
No. The champion of the last 2 seasons was the first driver of the season to get 2 wins.
There you go. Yeah, righty, hey. So, well, there is a pattern developing, and I tell you what, the pattern on Halal's windscreen today, he got that off. He must have had that Rain-X on it, Hamish, because he could see it true and clear. It was an absolute fantastic drive by him. A really strong drive in the conditions. And he did come under some sort of pressure, whether he could get those tyres back up to temperature, especially after the safety car. Perhaps not quite where he would want them, and Doble was able to come back at him, which made it quite exciting. So really good drive by Brad Doble. A couple other really noticeable drives. Robert Chrisdale, we've touched on. He got himself up into P4. He got that pass done on stalls. That was fantastic. And a couple other ones there that I was really impressed with. Thought Brett Taylor drove beautifully. You mentioned Matthew Monday. I thought he drove really good.
Drove incredibly well, did these drivers here this evening. Whilst we await our podium finishers to hop into the green room, we do need to get some Driver of the Day nominations out there. So let me just quickly write them in. So I think I do need to shout out Cesar actually. So he won tonight. He won the race on 0x and then he got a 1x post-race. But I think he's earned the nomination tonight, Scotty, as the race winner by completing the race 0x and winning in wet conditions. I think we need to give a shout out to Robert Chrisdale as well for his performance, as well as Tim Mulford. And then I think we only get one more name, and I'm torn between Matt Stoyles and Sean Cullen on who to give it to, because Sean drove a great race. He finished just outside the top 20, but drove a great race. But on the other end of the stick, Matt drove a great race and finished inside the top 5. So I'm torn as to which one we maybe nominate between the 2.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think the comeback drive by Tim and the fact that he was able to get those passes done. He ran into a little bit of trouble with Crosby earlier on. That wasn't his fault by race control. They gave the penalty to Crosby. He's then had a damaged car. We noticed on the right there that he had that damaged car, so he had to repair it, maybe change his strategy a little bit, and for him to be able to come back from there to get himself up into, well inside the top 10, and get those 9 positions gained, I thought, drive.
Yeah, Tim, I've got Tim on there. Currently, I've got Cesar, Crisdale, Mulford as 3 nominations, and then do we give one more, or do we only go for the 3 then? Because I think Stiles and Cullen both had a great race, but I'm torn between the 2 of them.
I think just go with, I think give it to Cullen because he went the whole race without changing tyres. There you go.
Here we go.
Why wouldn't he deserve a nomination for that?
All right. Driver of the Day nominations in the chat. Halil Cesar, Robert Crisdale, Tim Mulford and Sean Cullen. We only want to see one name from you when you vote. 1 vote only counts. So it's your first vote that you put in. So don't do a dummy vote because otherwise we won't count it. Those are the names we want to see. We don't want to see any others. Otherwise they will not be counted as well. Let's have a quick...
We should add here that for Halal Caesar, he'd be disappointed getting that one. So I know how that feels to have it. But it was pretty much a perfect race by him, Hamish.
It was.
We're saying pole position, fastest lap in race. Right, he leads a lap. He leads the most laps in the race, and he did get a 0x until he crossed the finish line. He's probably doing some burnouts or something like this, and he picked up a 1x. So he'll be disappointed on missing those points. But pretty much a perfect race by that cluster entry.
Yeah, a fantastic race for him as well. So let's have a quick chat to P3 on the road tonight. Reese Tagoe gets himself another podium this season. Reese, congratulations. P3, 2 podiums in a row. Got to feel pretty good after that one there, and maybe in need of a towel as well after the level of moisture we had on the track tonight, and possibly the level of moisture you had in the sim as well, battling away with Crisdale and Stoyles towards the end.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Scotty. Cheers, Hamish. Wet race. Man, lots of concentration needed. It was, from drop of the flag to the end of the flag, it was just, real concentration.
Yeah, well, you absolutely drove beautifully, Reece, and congratulations on P3 tonight. That was a sensation. You had great pace too, especially in quali. You qualified P2, so phenomenal effort there. How do you find these wet races, and would you like to see some more or some varying conditions like that within the Vets League, and how did you handle it? Perhaps the team go about leading up to this race tonight?
I am in favour of the wet races, but I think just the way that it was wet the whole time was a little hard. I was quite... I really enjoyed the Interlagos one with the changing conditions. So maybe if I could aim for something like that, either wet at the start, dry at the end, dry at the start, wet at the end, who knows? But yeah, this was a hard one, just being wet the whole time.
Well, there's heavy rumours, Reese, obviously. So there were rumours that we're getting a hot race this season, and we're apparently going to be getting a second wet race, which I believe is going to be changing conditions. Either I think it should be wet to dry, where you have to decide when to change onto the dry tyre. And for me personally, I think the with 3 rounds left, one of them being our enduro race next week at the Bend, I think most likely it's going to be Misano as the hot race and Okayama as the wet to dry race. If that is the case, obviously for the next 3 weeks we get enduro, then we get hot, and then we get wet to dry. How do you think those 3 races are going to stack up, not only for yourself, but maybe for the competitors around you? Because you obviously, you get the golden ticket, you get the best seat in the house racing around these guys each week. How do you think they could stack up across the rest of this season, and how that could maybe shape the championship a little bit as well?
Yeah, the Bend is going to be, I think, quite a key factor for the championship because it's a new track. It's a lot more technical than first thought. I've done a few laps so far, and it's very technical. And obviously, being the enduro, just a lot of concentration for 300 Ks. I'm not going to be here for Mazzano, so I'm actually in Bali myself. So I'm not going to be around 9. And then maybe a wet race in Okayama would be really good, actually. I think the track would suit probably changing conditions.
Well, that was one of my thought processes at the start of the season, Scotty. Was Okayama makes the most sense. We've got 2 new tracks. Misano's going to be tough to learn because it's very GT heavy, and how you have to approach it. A lot of low-speed corners, hard braking zones, some medium-speed corners too. I think it actually suits warm weather more so. And then the bend next week, we want to do well at the bend, don't we, Scotty? We want to have a fun race, so we want to have it in the dry where you can attack the track as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll throw it out here. What about a hot, wet race? You know, you have a hot track, it dries very, very quickly. Interesting one to throw out there. But Reece, you drove absolutely beautifully tonight. You mentioned going over to Bali. You're going to get hold of Brett and find out where all the lady boys that he mentioned are at, mate. I'm sure you can avoid those areas. But
yeah,
definitely
not
get
me.
yourself a Bing Tang singlet. That's what Bali's all about, mate.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Plenty of bintangs, yes, for sure.
Well, Reece, a phenomenal effort from yourself once again. Massive congratulations on your podium here this evening. Let us know who helps get you out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well. For myself and Scotty, congrats on the podium, and best of luck next week out at the bend. We look forward to seeing how you go.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for the broadcast. So, yeah, sponsors being Shared Genius, Spit on Ag, Grunt Designs, Minogue Fitness, and just shout out to the rest of the lads in the team. Now that they're back from school holidays, we're all getting on the sim and practicing together. So it's coming along well.
Well, Reece, congratulations. Best of luck at the bend next week. Looking forward to seeing how you go, and looking forward to seeing if you can maybe sneak yourself your first win of the season. We're not going to go 8 from 8 this season, but we could still get a 7th different winner, and it could be you. You're looking pretty good for it at the moment. Well done.
Oh, cheeky one would be nice. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
No worries. Thank
Great
you.
job, mate. Well done.
Reece to Goey there, our P3 on the road here this evening. Next up, we have our what can only be described as dominant race winner here this evening. He's the championship leader as well. He's extended his championship lead on board the number 5 Infinity Motorsports car, driven by Cooler Master as well. Halil Cesar. Halil, congratulations on your race win in wet conditions. Extend your championship lead now with, Brad was really sniffing down your neck coming into this race. Only 1 point was separating you. Now you've got a bit nicer of a gap, and you're the first driver this season to get your second race win as well. How are you feeling after that one, and what's the pressure like leading into the bend next week off the back of this?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great call again. It's 9 points. It's still very tight. I think, like I was just saying to Reece before, been in many championships, that I've never really been, or I've never really seen a championship where like 1 to 10 is like spread by less than 100 points, which is really, really great by everyone who's been taking part of this split at the moment. Look, that race was challenging, so looking forward to the bend. I've done some laps there in previous seasons in the past of other games, but it's a very technical, a lot of fast corners, so it's going to be interesting in the long run.
Yeah, you drove absolutely beautifully tonight, Halal. Probably one of the best drives that I've seen you drive. And I've been around a little while and watched you drive, especially in Split 1. You are from Split 1. You've driven in there. You've had some great races as well. But tonight, that was absolute perfect, mate. You had it under control the whole way. I guess we asked this question to Reece. How do you like the wet tracks and the changing and perhaps the direction that Vets looks like it may be going by, incorporating a little bit of difference to the normal sort of tracks that we get into our racing here on Thursday night? And is this something that you'd like to continue?
Yeah, thanks for all the kind words throughout the broadcast, mate. I really appreciate it. I do look up to you when it comes to like what you do on the racetrack. So I really do appreciate that. When it comes to the wet races, I thoroughly enjoy them. I was just saying to Reece before, growing up watching Peter Rock and Anton Senna and Jimmy Richards in the wet, like those guys, just the way they used to drive, it sort of resented in me. I love the wet, like I really do. And last season when we did Interlagos, that was really good. I didn't mind the format. I don't mind this format too because it really just it was pretty stable throughout the whole race. Like corner to corner changed a little bit, but that adds to the element. But going with what Vets is doing, I think it's absolutely fantastic when it comes to the wetter races and throwing it out there because let's face it, if we were driving in real life, we don't have a choice what happens on the day. Just look at the supercars today. I mean, that race when that rain came on lap 3, and one of the Red Bull cars, like, I mean, he was broad sideways in 5th gear. Like, it's just same thing happens with these cars. So it resembles what happens in real life with these cars being on iRacing. So it's fantastic. I absolutely, like, I love it.
Yeah, well, you absolutely mastered it, that's for sure. And yeah, I'm with you as well. I do like a little bit of realism in the weather, and it's good to see him going that way. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops the rest of this season and the coming seasons from there. But yeah, mate, you deserve all the credits and all the accolades. That was absolutely sensational. Yeah, so I look forward to watching how you go for the rest of the thoughts. Just a quick one. What are your thoughts leading into the rest of the season? You're just going to take it race by race because you are the champion. You do have the orange next to your name. Is there a certain bit of pressure going with it, or are you just going to put it to the back of your mind and go, hey, I'm just going to focus on the bend next week and what happens?
Yeah, it's been in this situation a few times in my sim career, and I always try to attack it the same way. I always say to like my new team, consistency, drive to the lap time. There's things that are out of your control that you really can't control. But with all that said, I mean, like there's been a few times this season where I hadn't qualified really well and made the most of it with good strategy and also just driving as clean as I can. My style focus will be that. I mean, the people that are behind me at the moment, they're all good drivers. So I know when it comes to the battles, they're going to be hard and fair, as it's been all season. So I'm worried, but I'm not worried in the same sense. But I think in the long run, the championship for me, it's just I really just solely focus on what's ahead, and that's all I can do is turn up, do the best job I can, and the rest of it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to do it. And, you know, there's something that I really like that you said there is, you know, you can only control what you can control. And that's the absolute right way to go about securing a championship. Control what you can control. Well done on your racing tonight. Absolute pleasure to call it, to watch you in the P1 tonight. Well done.
Thanks, Scotty. It was great having you back, mate. I'm glad that you're doing well.
Well, Halil, a phenomenal performance from you once again. Second race win of the season, lead of the championship as well, heading into the Bend next week. So we look forward to seeing how you can go out there when we head over to Tailem Bend. Let us know who helps get you out on track. Anyone you want to give a shout out to as well, for myself, for Scotty, and the rest of the league. Congrats on this race win, and congrats on the lead of the championship at the moment as well.
Thanks, Hamish. Yeah, so our title sponsors are Infinity Broadcast. You guys do a great job, even though Brett wasn't here tonight. We'll have to mention Brett. Black Hat Designs, WD-40, Motorsport Parts Australia, iRacing World Challenge, VRS, which is part of your Porsche series, which they've come along this series. And basically my sponsors, Cooler Master, absolutely having a cracker season with you guys this series. So thank you again, guys. Mark Wadham Mechanical. Go see Mark for all your needs. And I have to give a big shout out to Lachlan, his worker, because, yeah, he's been giving me the stink when I don't mention him. So, yeah, I love you, Lockie. And, yeah, and everyone that's part of this series. Guys, it's fantastic. And Racecraft, the major sponsor. Everyone that's part of this series is doing such a fantastic job. And everyone in Split 2, honestly, is just driving out of their skin. And also my teammate, Shane Randall, and all the rest of my teammates, onwards and upwards, guys. And got to try to help Shane secure that P5, or at least the P3 is the aim for me.
Well, we'll see how it pans out across the next few weeks, Halil. Congratulations. Best of luck at the Bend next week. We look forward to seeing how you go.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for the call again, and I appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. You too. It's a very weird world, Scotty, where I get to call one of my own drivers as the championship leader. It's a very tall poppy scenario at the moment. I'm very proud of Halil's efforts, but I also like to be fair to everyone else. Everyone else has been doing a phenomenal job this season as well. And no matter if Halil wins, if Brad wins, both drivers have driven a great season thus far, and I think both of them really deserve it. Looking towards the end of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's obviously the right choice by Halal to join you guys, and for you guys to have Halal because he is setting it alight this season. And, that's great when you've got a driver that's focused, is committed, and is driving with confidence. Team. So you must be proud, but, and you deserve that, Paul, that tall poppy. Just hopefully no one has the syndrome and chops it down. I know all about that, I can tell you.
I hope so. I have gone through and counted the votes here tonight for the Driver of the Day award as well, and earning the Chubby Buns Burgers Driver of the Day award this evening in an incredible comeback drive to go up 9 positions into the top 10. Tim Mulford this evening has won the Driver of the Day award for Phoenix Racing Team, and a fantastic effort from Tim. Congratulations to him. He's won himself a Chubby Buns, and hopefully he can continue this sort of run. Out of championship contention at the moment this season on the stats side of things, but he's a driver that if he can put a complete season together, he will be a challenger at some stage. I have no doubts about that. So congrats to Tim on the Driver of the Day award. Fantastic effort from him here this evening. And commiserations to Sean Cullen. He was actually the only other driver to get a nomination vote from the chat as well. Both Halil and Chrisdale too. Halil, the race winner, didn't even get a nomination for winning the race and going 0x. So I feel like he's just cursed at this stage of being able to win Driver of the Day this season, apparently. But no, congrats to Tim. That's a fantastic effort, and I think it could have gone to any one of those guys.
It absolutely could have, and you're right. Hillel was more than worthy of winning it, but the drive by Tim to face adversities in a race like he did. He had that incident earlier on, and to be able to come back like that, I think the drivers recognised that, Hamish, as a really good accomplishment, and part of what we talked about of that spirit of not giving up, keep fighting, of keep racing, and he got some overtakes done late, which were fantastic. So I think he thoroughly deserved it, and I hope that does his confidence, the world of good, because I agree with you. I think Tim could be pushing for a top 5, top 3 in your championship.
Yeah, I think Tim is someone that I saw when he joined last season. I thought, he could be a contender here. He could be someone to really put something together. And he's, unfortunately, he struggled last season and this season to put a complete season together. But I'm excited to see when he can. He's another one of those drivers that when he's at his best, he's very difficult to beat. I think he's going to be a proper contender and challenger, possibly next season or even the season after. Again, if he can get those little 1%ers corrected and really put the full focus in. So I'm excited to see what Tim Mulford can do in seasons future. That'll bring an end, though, to our race here tonight at Circuito De Jerez. Ladies and gentlemen, we head out next week to Shell V-Power Motorsport Park, also known as The Bend, also known as Tailem Bend, for the first time here in the V8 Veterans. Another Australian track joins the rotation, and for 300Ks next week, we will go racing around Tailem Bend. Myself, Hamish Munro and Scott Gamble will be in the booth for that one next week. Back to our regular time slot of Saturday evening, 8:30pm Australian Eastern Standard Time, right here on the V8 Veterans channel and the Infinity Broadcasting channel as well. If you're watching over on the Infinity Broadcasting channel, I heavily implore you and ask you if you could please, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, the subscribe, the bell icon too, so you're notified whenever we go racing on the channel. Next up on the docket, Monday night, round 9 of season 2 of the VRS Porsche Cup Series by way of the iRacing World Challenge. Myself and Brett O'Brien in the booth for that one as we go racing at Long Beach for the final sprint round of the season prior to next week's final round out at Belle Isle. After that, Friday night, 8pm Australian Eastern Standard Time, the IWC Rodknock Cup goes racing once again. For the next round of that series, we'll be heading out for more ARCA action, racing out at Phoenix Speedway next week for 85 laps as well. If you're watching on the V8 Veterans channel, hit the like button, the subscribe, the bell icon as well, so you're notified whenever we go racing here with the Split 2, Split 3 and Split 4 action. Head over and check out Simspeed TV, subscribe to those guys so you can catch the Split 1 action live Thursday nights, 8:30pm Australian Eastern Standard Time, where you can see Scotty Gamble and others try and challenge Jordan Ross at his pure dominance, it can only be said, in Split 1 as of late. Big shout out to all the series sponsors, including the title sponsors Racekraft Simulations, the other sponsors as well, Logitech G, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, Nova Simsports, Südspeed Gloves, LGC Images and Chubby Buns Burgers with the Driver of the Day award. Tonight it went the way of Tim Mulford. Next week at Tailem Bend it could go to you. But for myself, Hamish Munro and Scotty Gamble alongside, appreciate your time, appreciate you being here with us once again. See you guys next time. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
Can't wait to hear those engines roar. Hot days and summer nights, finish line in the sights. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be sparks flying, rubber burning, doors banging, temperatures rising. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be hot days and summer nights, finish line in the sights. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be sparks flying, rubber burning, doors banging, temperatures rising. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. They're gonna roll. Ooh, they're gonna roll.
The Racing Series is a new milestone in Logitech G.
All the great old wheels, the G29, the G920, the G923, they all have their own unique way of connecting to each other, but there's no room for expansion with those products.
So the question arose was, what if we were to give the opportunity for the racer to switch out from a drifting wheel to a GT rim?
With the wheel hubs that we've created, that's got a very specific button set, but you can replace any of the steering wheels.
And the real lovely aspect to this was we could give the user, driver and the racer the opportunity to experience different genres of race.
That allows drivers to craft high quality, customized setups that resonate with your individual racing style.
When we start with the design, we always start sketching. Very often, once we've got sketches, we start discussing with engineering.
We had 3 rounds of engineering testing or user testing where we invited in users from sim racing, and every single round of feedback we refine, the product based on what they tell us.
In the sim racing lab, again, we're going to use data to really analyze what a driver needs. We've used everything from eye tracking to the inputs from the pedals, the inputs from the, let's just say, input devices, the wheel and the pedals, the shifter. We're taking that and we're compiling it so that we can build different products based on those individuals' needs for all consumers and all drivers.
I don't know of anyone else in the industry that's actually doing this kind of research into their products to see how their products are affecting performance of their users.
We've built the product to make sure that it's as reliable as possible.
So the innovations in engineering that I'd say we're most proud of is the sequential handbrake and shifter toolless changeover. This is now a patented system, so it's really easy for the user to just switch between modes.
If you give people the tools to do what they want, they will.
They will just go off and have fun.
Introducing the Racekraft PT1, custom-built full chassis racing simulator. The design project, codenamed The Cage, an 80/40 extrusion chassis sitting on top of a Sigma Integrale DK2 Plus 4-point full motion actuator system. No compromises in the cockpit of the PT1 simulator. To maximize the experience, we start with a 49-inch ultra-wide monitor for the greatest field of view in a small footprint of the simulator, down to the SimuCube wheelbase that's tucked up and behind the monitors with SimCore extensions to get things out of the driving area. Everything is connected to a Cube Controls GTX steering wheel with the built-in dash and all the extra button functions available at your fingertips. Driving through the Raceworks S1 pedals, the potentiometer throttle and the 2 hydraulic pedals for brake and clutch ensures you maximize the feel underfoot, and seating yourself into an OMP HTER bucket racing seat with OMP belts connected to a G-belt tensioner to provide that extra feeling and the heightened experience while you're driving. Additional interfaces and accessories in the PT1, we have twin butt kickers, one on either side of the OMP seat, as well as a Jinx sequential shifter, the Sim Push Race Logic timer to the left-hand side, a Racecraft built-in WinSim kit with Philips Hue lighting and a built-in soundbar, plus the OMP side net to finish off the experience in the PT1. The Racecraft PT1, build number 1, the ultimate in sim racing experience, combining the best products in the market with the passionate, no compromise approach that goes beyond racing simulation.